West Palm Beach, a neighbor. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Well, thank you.
But we do enjoy your show.
Glad you're here, kid.
All right, here's the question. For some time, the wife and I have been talking about her leaving her other job and just staying at home and being a good old housewife.
Right. What is her other job?
She's been a legal secretary for a number of years for a law firm.
Is this what she'd like to do?
Yes, she's enjoyed it, but we have 2 small children.
No, I mean, would she like to leave her?
She brought up the idea initially.
Okay.
The question is, when she leaves the law firm, she has about just a few bucks over $7,000 in her pension plan. It's which they're suggesting that they would just give her in one lump sum.
They are suggesting?
Well, they said that's her option. You know, they could cut her a check for $7,000 or do whatever we want to do.
Well, wait a while. You don't want to just have her cut a check, because if the check's made out to her, you got a big problem.
Right, and I understand that. So we were wondering, do we have it just sent into some sort of a tax-deferred plan, or, I know we don't want to just go take it and do something silly with it because we don't desperately need it.
Well, it's not a question of silly as if suppose that you want to invest it someplace in some other tax-deferred environment, right?
Right.
If you don't do it properly, you're still going to pay taxes.
Okay.
If the check is made out to her, and tomorrow morning she puts it into an IRA, you're still going to pay the taxes and the penalties.
Okay. Well, I wasn't aware of that.
Well, because the check is made out to her, you can't do that.
Ah.
What you have to have, no, I don't want to say have to do anything. You don't have to do anything at all. What would be the appropriate thing to do is decide where you want it to be deposited. And that can be a temporary thing. You're not making a 50-year choice here.
Sure, I understand.
Let's assume, for the sake of this discussion, you want to go the easy way. You got a bank that you do business with.
That's right.
And you want to have it put into an IRA in that bank. You go to the bank. You tell them where this money is, and they handle the entire transaction.
I see. Good.
And it never, ever hits your fingertips. All you do is see a statement.
I understand. Okay, wonderful. So as long as we don't touch it and get it grubby, then we're okay.
Well,
I think.
You should have a third party handle the entire transaction.
Right.
And they first of all, they have the facility. They do it all the time. And secondly, it's just easier and cleaner. Pick up the telephone.
Okay. Very good.
And you're not committing it forever. If you want to go to someone else, let's assume that you put it in that bank, and a year or 2 years from now, whatever it is, you see a mutual fund that you want to handle it.
Right.
Or you may be a mutual fund now. You call them, and they'll transfer it from where it is to where it's going to go.
Okay.
As long as you don't touch it, by and large, you're okay.
Very good. Well, thanks very much, Bruce.
It's been a pleasure.
I do appreciate it.
Hang in there. Well, it's the way you handle it. Unfortunately, if you make a mistake in the way you handle the money, you can get brutalized when it comes to taxes and penalties. Salt Lake City, Utah. Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
Couldn't be better.
I don't have a question. They told me to tell you up front that I have a story to tell you about real estate.
All right.
Because you're always talking about having a lawyer and attorney for the closing.
Yeah, well, I think that not only for the closing, having an attorney monitor the entire transaction. There's a little difference in those two statements.
Absolutely. This is a story of where we got lucky.
Okay.
About 3.5 years ago, we came out to Salt Lake City to visit relatives and then go up to Idaho and visit friends. And while we're out here the first evening, just to kill some time, we looked through a neighborhood and saw a house with a for sale sign, and my wife said, "Let's go and look at it." Okay, so we went in and we looked. We went to Idaho, came back, and she said, "I think we should look at that house again." And I said, "What for? We've got a good house back home in New Jersey." And she said, "We need to look at it." So we looked at it, and the upshot was we gave the guy a $5,000 check in earnest money.
And what happened to New Jersey? What were you doing for a living in New Jersey?
I flew airplanes for a living for one of the major airlines.
Well, you could live anywhere now.
Yeah, well...
within reason. Where were you based?
New York.
Okay.
Mostly out of Kennedy.
Where do you fly?
DC-10s when I left.
Oh, my goodness gracious. The big... I think I'm being a hot shot in a 182, you know?
Listen, any flying is great, but the DC-10 was the queen of...
That is quite an airplane, no question. I would You know, I try to fly now 3 or 4 times a week. Just because I enjoy it, and it's the one place I can be totally detached from the world. You know, I don't have, nobody's bothering me on the telephone. I can concentrate on what I'm doing, and I sort of enjoy it. But I admire you guys who get to fly those big pigs, I'll tell you.
Yeah, even every once in a while now in retirement, I get the feeling sometimes driving up 7th East that I ought to be flying a late-night turnaround at San Juan.
I hear you.
Anyway.
Okay, so all of a sudden here, whereabouts in New Jersey did you live, by the way?
Out in Sussex County, we had some farmland about 2 miles north of Route 80.
Nobody would believe that that's New Jersey if you dropped them in there.
No, that's true. They think it's all
the turnpike,
Caucasus Meadows or something.
Yeah. Anyway, now you're out in Salt Lake City, breathing that fresh air and all that good stuff.
Oh, you bet. We came back out here a month later to close, and all we had was this guy who was selling the house, a leasing company, actually owned the house out of a foreclosure.
Right.
And my wife and I, and a notary public. And I said, gee, you sure do things differently out here. And he says, oh, yeah, it's a lot easier to buy and sell houses in the West. And I'm going along just, fat, dumb, and happy. We give him the check for down payment, and he takes paper for $100,000. And within about a year or so, we moved out here for my retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And
it worked.
Pardon me?
And it worked.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is,
so far.
Well, this is the thing. We didn't realize how high and dry we were. About a year and a half went by, and interest rates dropped, so we went to a subsidiary of our bank, which has a mortgage company, to go from 10 1/4 to 7 7/8.
Mm-hmm.
In the process, we found out that the sale had not been registered with the county.
Recorded.
The whole schmear. And this guy could have sold the house to half a dozen other people if he wanted. And then we would have been probably doing a battle in the courts.
Lovely.
And fortunately, he didn't know anything about this refinancing until the title company from the mortgage company notified him, and I guess it caught him unawares. So anyway, then I started to wake up, but we got lucky. We often say that the Lord watches over fools and drunks, and since we don't drink, you know what we were. We got lucky, but I would tell you, I've listened to your show for a number of years, ever since we moved out to Salt Lake. I really enjoy it, but to tell people you got to get a lawyer, well, there's no question. Since then, we've sold our house in New Jersey, we sold property, and it's worth it to just put it in the hands of the attorney, pay him the money, and let him take care of everything, nail it all down.
Yeah, I'd rather be lucky than skillful any time, but you can get murdered in a transaction and not even know what happened to you until it's too late. It's a false economy. I got to ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
You said you were driving 10s, so let me see. We were talking, if you're 10s, we can get rid of Eastern because they had L10 11s.
I was doing what I did best.
That would be Eastern, right?
No.
Oh,
American.
American Air. Oh, worked for Bob Crandall, huh?
Yeah.
Doing we do. Yeah, because they have the 10s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite a guy. His wife used to listen to my program, and I was taking off on American one night, and she called the show. She's a lovely lady, Jan Crandall. And she called. My husband's not gonna like what you're saying.
I'll reserve comment on the Crandalls since they still handle my health insurance.
All right, Captain. Listen, it was good talking to you. Are you still flying at all?
Not since I retired. I just got so busy doing
other stuff. Got to turn you loose, kid. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go down to Covington, Kentucky to see what's going on. Hello there.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Williams.
Well, good evening. I couldn't be better, my dear. What's on your mind?
Well, that's good. I have a little of a pickle situation I'm in at this time. It's concerning my job and hopefully a future job that I intend to get. But
what do you do?
Well, currently I am working for my sister in a little telemarketing room. There's a nice knit little group, and I've only been working there about 4 weeks.
What do you hustle?
Automotive line products. I can't mention the name.
No, who do you call for that? Do you call the general public, or do you call?
Oh, no, we call businesses all over all over the United States. We call it just strictly business, like lube centers and you name it. We call it auto parts stores, tire stores. We supplied numerous different items like engine additives and that type of thing.
I see. Okay, so you're
and, well, like I said, Bruce, I've
a boiler marketer here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've only been working there for about 4 weeks. I do like it from what I can tell so far. They're very nice people. It's a nice, knit little group. It's with my sister, who happens to be the head honcho or the manager of the little group. And she's a very nice person, and I've worked for her before, and there's no problem there. But the thing of it is that I'm not making a whole lot of money there. I know my sister says, you know, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. You've only been here 4 weeks, you got to give it time, and you will make good money because there's girls down here that are making, you know, $400 and $500 a week. Well, I've yet to really see that. I mean, especially for myself personally.
How much are you earning right now?
Well, like I said, I've only been there 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
How much?
The highest check I've got is like $200.
For how long a period of time?
For a week.
Okay.
But, and anyway, so it's a base plus a, you know, commission. But anyway, the thing is I'm not selling this stuff too hot because I don't know a thing about cars except for because I have a piece of junk car. But anyway, so it's not a bed of roses, but it's not bad. It's like my dad said, a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. Well, anyway, the thing is, Bruce, is last year about this time, I was in a different position at a major hotel, and I was in a little group. It's kind of like one of these little car deals. Again, it's a telemarketing thing, but only there I was the manager, like my sister is at her little job. I was the manager at this place. Okay. Now, I did such a wonderful job last year at this time with this little program. It's only a 6-month run program, but I did really good, and I liked it and everything was wonderful, and I made much more money. But the thing of it is that this position is going to be offered to me, I know, like any day now, because the guy's been calling me.
So why?
Take
a deep breath. Wow.
I'm sorry.
No wonder you're in telemarketing.
Yes, well, I'm sorry. I got a big mouth.
That's all right. Why is the other place only open 6 months a year?
It's a program. That's all they run. I mean, it's like they get in there and they promote the hotel through this card. It's like I don't know what you want to call it. It's called the Executive Club program there, and a lot of different hotel chains do certain things to promote their hotel, you know, to generate business. And it's only a 6
So he's going to ask. He wants you to come back. You're telling
me. But it's only going to be for 6 months, and then I'm going to be out of job, and I'm going to make my sister possibly upset for, you know, having. I mean, she's not going to be mad or anything. I mean, she's my sister, but you know, it's not. I've only been there 4 weeks, and I really don't know what the potential could be.
Well, the thing is, how much can you earn on the other job?
Much better.
Now, much better doesn't tell me very much.
$450 a week, plus a bonus at the end, depending on how well or good we do.
Well, I think I'd be inclined to take it from me. But I'd look to these guys and say, isn't there something we could be doing all year round?
There's not. I mean,
why?
When I left there last year at that time, I put my resume in, and at the time...
I'm asking you, why can't they do something all year round?
Well, just because year after year, every year they've been doing this program. It's been last like 7 years every year, and everybody just goes on their merry way. No one's actually ever come back. In other words, the managers that were there one time for the 6 months, no one's returned again the following year for that 6 months. They go on to bigger and better things, which I haven't done, unfortunately. So, you know, I'm at a crossroads here because it's only going to be for 6 months, and then I know I'm going to be unemployed again, and
I'd go back. I'd grab it. Telemarketing, if you're any good, they'll always hire you.
Well, yeah. I know, but I'm not. Well, you're
asking me. You asked my opinion. Yeah. I would take the $450 a week plus the bonus in 6 months. If your sister still is running this operation, she has nothing to lose by taking you back.
Well, they have a policy there. That's why I know once I leave there, I will not.
Well, but there's other people hustling on a telephone.
Well, yeah.
There's lots of telemarketers out there.
Yeah, this is true.
And I think your old man was right. Grab the bird.
Grab the bird.
I wish you well, dear. I'm Bruce Williams.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is Talknet. Let's go to Portland, Oregon, and see what's cooking.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there.
Hi, boy. You know, a tale of woe with a happy ending.
All right.
All right. I heard you say a moment ago that, or talking to somebody, a caller or two past, that you would rather be lucky than skillful.
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. Here I am, 72. Had a fairly comfortable life. Problems, medical problems, and other problems, which led to a pretty heavy indebtedness. Thought with my house paid for and all, that, you know, we would live comfortably from then on. All the kids are raised and out. But credit cards, had a bunch of them, got them all maxed out at 30 grand. And really no way to pay it. So trying to pay, some of them accepted a payment schedule, others didn't. And so consequently, it's a bad black mark on the credit record. All right, now my question is, we are going to resort back to your statement of being lucky rather than skillful. I got lucky. We hit a foreign lottery. And no trouble paying off the credit cards, but...
Foreign lottery where? What country?
Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much did you win?
1.6 mil.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, I said if I only had money, now that I've got it, I've got a problem.
What's the problem?
Hence, I'm calling you. All right, number one, I would like to get rid of the black marks. So naturally, we're paying off the whole, whatever our indebtedness is, we're paying off everything.
Yeah.
All right, but that still leaves marks on my credit record, as I understand, for the next 7 years, if I have that long to live. At 72, who knows?
But how much credit are you going to need the rest of your life?
Probably none.
Well, then why worry about it?
I just like to die with a clean slate, that's all.
Well, I got a surefire prescription.
Go ahead.
Don't die for the next 10, 12 years.
Okay, that's what I'm hoping for.
Okay.
That's what I'm hoping
You have nothing to... Of all the things to worry about, on a scale of 1 to 100, doesn't even make the list.
Okay, listen, we're leaving for Germany Monday.
Uh-huh.
We're going out to pick it up.
How did you happen to buy a German lottery ticket?
Huh?
How did you happen to buy?
Solicitation in the mail. It's the fourth one we bought in 3 years.
Is that right?
And this one hit. This one hit, and we're going over to pick it up. They pay it in a lump sum. They pay it all off.
Yeah. Not like the lotteries here.
No. And they told us, they informed us that they say nothing to anybody, only to their, they're only responsible to their government. They say nothing to this government. But I still don't know where that puts me as far as income is concerned, as far as taxation is concerned.
If you want to move back to this country says you got to pay.
Okay.
And be probably about 40%.
That's fine. No, that's fine. I love my country, and if that's what it is, that's what it is. I wouldn't leave the country just to live on. No, that's great. Maintain my citizenship and stay right here. On 40%, if they take 40%, I could live very comfortably on the other 60. But now, the other problem is we don't really have an attorney that I feel that we have a great deal of faith in.
Mm-hmm.
How to select an attorney and how to select a money manager.
Well,
word got out that we won this, and you have no idea the telephone calls. We called today and changed the number and unlisted the number, Bruce.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
But now, and we've had attorneys call, people saying, "Hey, I'd like
attorneys. What would attorneys call you?
Attorneys called
for what reason?
Wanting to know if they could assist me in any way in handling the monies. They say we're not soliciting our services. We just want to know if we can help because congratulations on your good fortune.
Hello.
Yeah. So and those are the.
Well, what do you need an attorney for right now?
Well, I need somebody to manage the money.
Well, that's not an attorney. That's not an attorney's function.
A money manager, a counselor.
Well, you probably want some kind of a financial planner. But tell you the truth, if it were me, I'd do nothing right now.
Just put the money in the bank?
I wouldn't put it in the bank. I'd put it into government securities.
Put it all in government securities?
I wouldn't put it all in one lump. I'd probably buy a whole bunch of short-term 3-month bills.
Okay.
And then periodically, so you catch the averages, start buying 2-year notes.
Okay. Now, even there, I would like to have somebody counsel.
You don't need anybody to help you. Any banker can help you, or any discount broker can help you.
Or just a banker.
A banker or a discount broker.
Okay.
It'll cost you $50 to buy. Each time you make a buy, it'll cost you $50 for the broker, discount broker.
See, that's completely adverse to all the advice I've been getting. Well, that's great.
What advice have you been getting?
Oh, get an attorney, get somebody to manage your money.
Not necessarily. Maybe that's someplace downrange. But right now, you're going to have a ton of cash. And if you think that the government's going to go broke, well, that's another matter. But if you don't, put the money into short-term treasuries, and then you might want to start buying 2-year notes at the auction. And it'll only cost you $50 a pop. Any discount broker can counsel you in that regard. Chanute, Kansas, hello there.
Hi.
Hello.
I seldom get to hear you because about 15 miles out of town you go out of range.
Oh, my goodness, and you're out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Oh, no.
What's on your mind?
Well, I made a discovery with a prescription medication that it could be used for another purpose than what it's marketed for. And I wanted to know how... you got to be a little more... that could have some ugly connotations. Okay, well, yeah, I didn't think about that. Well, I had a prescription medication that was prescribed to me for something, and...
for what?
Well, it's just, that doesn't matter. But anyway, I had some extra left over, and I had just thought about the way that the medication works, and so I experimented with it on myself and tried it on something else and discovered that it cured a different problem that it's not used for. And I wanted to know how I would go about...
First of all, it doesn't tell us very much.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, it may have worked on you. It may have been a placebo effect, or it may not work on anybody else.
I've tried it 2 different times, and it's worked.
Oh, but on you.
Yeah.
But it may not work on anybody else. It may very well be.
I realized that they would...
Could you give me some idea what we're talking about?
Excuse me?
Could you give me some notion of what we're talking about?
Well, it's a topical application used to cure different things. And I realized that they would need to do more research on it to see if, in fact, it does do what I say.
Well, if you're asking me, can you get paid for the information you have?
Yeah, that's what
I think the answer is absolutely not.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, because first of all, I'd be willing to bet you apples to anything that they know already. But and there may be very good reasons why what you did was not an appropriate use. And there may be side effects. I don't know any of that, but it would be hard for me to believe that a pharmaceutical manufacturer, particularly if these are both topical uses, and apparently they are. Is that not true?
Well, yeah.
I can't believe they don't know what it will react to.
I've never heard anyone ever say that they've used it.
Well, let me give you an example, and I'm going to be very obscure because I don't want to start practicing medicine on the air, okay? Mm-hmm. But there is a hair product that you can buy at any store over the counter, right? Mm-hmm. That, for whatever reason, will kill fingernail fungus. And one of my kids was going to have an operation to have his whole fingernail removed permanently. And a holistic physician said, well, try this first. And after he had been to 2 hand specialists that operated and didn't work, the nail was disengaged in the finger. Mm-hmm. He washed it in this was a shampoo. And his nails as perfect as anybody's today. Now, the shampoo was never designed to fix fingernails.
Right. I guess it's kind of like Skin So Soft. They always claim about it, using it to keep insects away, but they won't advertise it.
There are a number of, that's right, there are a number of things that I think fit that description. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can write to the manufacturer and see what they have to say. Mm-hmm. You said this is a prescription item.
Yeah.
Have you discussed it with your physician?
No, I kind of just have been sitting on it for a couple of years because I just didn't really know what to do about it, and it wasn't burning in my mind or anything. So. Well,
why don't you ask your physician, see what he has to say? I think he'll probably tell you I knew that. Mm-hmm. Could you give me some idea? I mean, you got my curiosity up. What was the stuff prescribed for?
Well, I don't want to say that.
Why? Is it embarrassing?
It's personal.
What's some feminine proposition?
Yeah.
Like what? Like a yeast infection or something? We talk about these things.
Yeah, something like that.
Like what?
Well, I don't want to say.
Well, nobody knows who you are. Come on.
Well, that's okay.
Oh, my goodness gracious. In today's world?
Yeah.
You probably see it advertised on television for crying out loud.
Well.
All right.
Can I ask you about something else?
I'll tell you what, let me take a little time out and regroup here. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Talking like, I don't want to identify the community because it's a small one and she's embarrassed because she used a prescription item for a feminine problem, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, dear goodness. Okay, so you're embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
Don't be embarrassed. What else do you have on your mind, dear?
Well, I was just wondering, when you start a business, how do you go about finding someone who can tell you? Lots of people have told us different things about different types of businesses. You know, being companies or in corporations and that sort of thing. And I was wondering, who is it that you can go to that has all the information that you need for tax purposes?
No, an accountant, generally speaking, is the guy you speak with about taxes. And
Just accountant?
Well,
Okay.
you said no. What you said was tax purposes.
Yeah.
And the accountant is the guy you talked to. Can you be a little more direct on this? What kind of business?
Okay. Well, what I was wondering is when we started a business.
What kind of a business?
It's just a small retail operation.
All right.
And when we did, then we got a tax number and stuff, and then
Hold on, you got a tax number and stuff.
tax number.
Yeah.
And then when you go to file your taxes, we found out that, of course, we have no employees or anything, and we found out that the federal government doesn't correspond, I guess, with the state government, and they
What do you mean correspond?
Well, I mean, they don't tell you that you need. When we applied for a tax number, they didn't tell us. They told us that we don't need a PIN number because we don't have employees.
What is a PIN number?
I mean an EIN. I'm sorry, EIN, an employee identification number.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Right, and so then when we got to do our state taxes, we found out that we weren't considered. We couldn't both be owners of the business.
Why not?
Because the tax forms don't. When you file a Schedule C, you have to be a sole proprietorship.
You can't be a partnership?
Not. I guess not the way. Since we don't have any, I don't know.
I don't know. Look, here's the thing. This is relatively simple stuff. Now, it does vary very dramatically from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. And this is why, if you're in Kansas, you don't hire an accountant from Missouri, because the laws are going to vary a little bit. But it's really not all that complicated, and it's not that expensive to hire someone to set your books up, to tell you. For example, if you want to buy stuff for resale, and you have a state income tax, which I believe you do, you have to have a state sales tax number, so you're exempt when you buy material for resale, right? Do you have a sales tax number?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, well, if you're collecting sales tax, then that's also the same number, and you can have a sales tax number for a partnership in most places, but it doesn't really matter if one person or the other is on there, or if you can always form a corporation. But this is why you hire accountants to counsel you in these matters. Doesn't mean the guy's got to come in every week. Every 3 months is often enough. I do wish you well. Thanks for the hour, kids. I'm Bruce. This is Talknet. Generally sold in specialty shops. You're not going to go into the Hallmark shop and sell them in all likelihood, because they have their own materials. Right. But you go into the specialty boutique shop sometimes, if it's depending on if this is youth oriented or what, the college bookstores, places of that kind that will buy something a little out of the ordinary. And once you become established where you prove this stuff will sell, then you'd be much better off to get yourself a manufacturer's rep. And you'll find those if you go to a stationary trade show and you're calling from Houston. Well, certainly they have those in cities like Houston or Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you would suggest try a local market first?
Well, what else? Where else?
Well, I was considering going to market in Dallas, but...
What do you mean to market?
just to sort of see what's there, to see what
fine.
other people are doing.
Well, it's okay, but what I'm trying to get to is that you're going to have to at least prove to somebody that these things will sell in a store environment.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way they're going to get in the store environment at the outset is for you to go in and persuade the stores to take them.
Okay.
And don't go consignment.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before.
Well, the reason is that the consignment merchandise gets the least attention and they have nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't sell it on its own merits, then you haven't got a product worth selling.
Okay.
I do wish you well, sweetheart.
Okay.
And yes, by all means, go into Dallas and find out what other people are doing.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Dallas, Texas. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. Thanks for taking the call.
Well, I'm very happy you took the time to call. What's on your mind?
Well, I've got an opportunity here to get into the exotic bird business.
The exotic bird?
Raising emus for fun and profit.
Well, that's not so exotic.
Just want to know, what you know about it, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, there's an awful lot of people hustling it right now.
Yeah.
Trying to put people in the emu business. Now, are you going to actually raise these little coolies, or are you going to just invest money
I'd be raising them. Have my own, first pair. Looking at initial investment.
Let me guess. About 15,000 a breeding pair.
Closer. Well, yeah, and plus your first year investment and everything, about 20,000 for your first year. Pair is going to run about 16,000 for the pair, and then you got insurance and all the other costs.
How did you happen to get involved with this?
I've got a friend who is interested in it. We have several neighbors that are already in the business. A couple of them raise ostriches. A couple of other ones, raise emus. And so far, most of it is pretty much on the upside. But I'm very cautious in anything I do when I'm talking about that kind of money. And I just, I like to do my homework and.
You see, there's been so much activity about emus and ostriches lately that I get a little nervous when something becomes so ubiquitous. Because somebody is hustling this stuff. Somebody's selling these pairs and whatever. And they got to be making money because they're advertising and whatever. You mentioned you got this through a friend. But how did he hear about it?
He has, we've been friends and kind of...
Well, in regard to that, how did he hear about it?
He has associates himself, friends, that are in the business.
But somebody somewhere answered an ad, or do you understand what I'm saying?
No, he has friends that is already in the business.
Then how'd they hear about it?
Well, I don't know how they heard about it.
That's what don't you understand what I'm trying to say?
No, what I'm saying is they already have their own ranch with their own birds and everything.
I understand that. But somebody persuaded them to get into the racket someplace. Yes or no?
Well, yes.
That's what I'm trying to get to is there are people actively out there persuading people like yourself to get into this.
No, there's not.
Yes, there is. Whether they contacted you or not is not the issue.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you there are people out there that are pushing emus like crazy.
Yeah.
Now, whether they contacted you is not the issue. And when there's somebody pushing something like this so much, I get nervous. Does that make sense to you or not?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying.
When somebody starts telling me there's a ton of money to be made in buying coins, suddenly I don't want to buy any coins till I look it over very carefully. When somebody is telling me that wireless cable is the hottest thing since this and that, I'm not interested all of a sudden. When somebody starts telling me that if heating oil goes up 12 cents, I'm going to get rich on $5,000. Now, the fact that you may be 4 or 5 generations removed doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
There are people pushing this stuff awfully hard.
Do you know of anybody, personally yourself, that has got hurt in this business?
No, sir, I do not. I don't know anybody who's got into it.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of callers that were flirting with the idea, and I've had one caller who was in the business. First of all, one of the things that disturbs me, now you're sitting there in actually where you are, the climate is not really what we're looking for. If you were in West Texas, in the El Paso area down that way, the climate would be a little more, I believe, a little closer to what these birds are accustomed to in their native setting. Is that a fair statement? Well, you sure don't want to raise them in New England.
Australia. So,
Right.
you know, they live in temperature extremes, you know, heat during the day and cold at night. But most of the birds that I've seen, like I say, I have neighbors that have these birds, and they seem to be, you know, quite comfortable.
Well, super. I mean,
weather conditions.
okay, go for it. I mean, I can't. You know, what do you want from me? I don't know.
Well, like I said, I'm doing my homework. Before I buy anything, talking about the amount of money, you know, I like to ask a lot of questions.
Well, I mean,
a lot of people.
These guys are advertising for. I believe that the meat can be used for animal food, for pet food. That obviously the skins can be used for what we know ostrich skin gets used for and whatever. Is that not true?
That's true.
Okay. You also should know that there's political considerations here. Are you aware of that?
No.
Where did the world's largest supply of ostrich come from for leather?
I don't know.
And it wasn't Australia. It was South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, South Africa, there was a lot of embargoes placed, so they had to be transshipped to Tanzania and other African countries where they stamped origination credentials because the embargo was there, but that didn't, as we both know, didn't mean a hell of a lot to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yeah.
But the embargo's gone away, hasn't it?
That's true.
Which means you're going to be competing directly with South Africa that's been producing ostrich for a long time. Now, even though you're sitting right there in Texas, you're going to have a tough time competing with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Now, maybe my reading is altogether wrong. And I wear ostrich boots and the rest of it.
Yeah.
But that's just another consideration.
Well, that's things to think about. That's why I called you.
Let me ask you this. You're an intelligent guy. You're articulate and you're thorough. What do you do for a living now?
I'm in work for an air freight company.
Why would you attack something as esoteric as this? If you want to start raising things, see, I'm more and more persuaded that the real money is not to be made by being a pioneer. The real money is to be made by imitating the pioneers. Let them go do the spade work.
Yeah.
And I don't think the spade work has been satisfactorily done as yet.
Well, like I say, it's been, you know, I've had a pretty good presentation, made to me on it. And
but we're back to the same thing. Why was the presentation made?
Well, because it was a friend of mine, you know, wanting to get into business, and, you know, we just happened, you know.
But why would he make a presentation to you?
Well, not a presentation. It was just, you know, telling me about it. I actually didn't know about it until I happened to call on him one day, and he just got to talking about it.
And he has birds now?
No.
Who pitched him?
One of his friends.
And
he was in the business.
Yeah,
he's already in the business and has a pretty good size, you know, farm with quite a few.
But he's pitching it. First of all, I don't know it's a friend. That maybe an acquaintance. Maybe we don't use the word friend the same way.
Friend of business, so he does some business.
All right, fine. So
for him.
Oh boy. What I'm trying to get to is the guy pitching him, and it is a pitch, no matter how you slice it, because he wants to sell him these things to make some money.
Sure.
Well, I don't trust the guy trying to sell me something to make. I don't think there's anything wrong with him, but I want to talk to other people that are outside the loop. Does that make any sense?
You bet.
And you're getting all your information from the fox who wants into the chicken coop. Well, that's not the guy I'm looking for security for my chicken coop.
Yeah.
Now, that's who you're talking to directly. You keep telling me nobody's pitching, but they're pitching their little hearts out.
Yeah.
But they're pitching one step or two generations away from you. They're pitching your friend is telling you. So you're getting a pitch secondhand.
That's one reason that I was calling you, was to talk to someone that was either in the business or has been, you know, something been presented.
Well, you're sure not going to find me in the business. That much you can bet your life and wife and firstborn on.
There's really not much out there on the business. You don't find anything in the libraries or the books.
Well, I've got a whole bunch of material sitting right on my desk because we talked about this about 4 months ago, and some people were kind enough to send it to me.
Yeah.
And some guys are making some very good money, but we're back to the same thing. It is relatively new, it is somewhat esoteric, and it's very much on the leading edge. And in my opinion, let somebody else be the pioneer. When it's all doing real well, then you can jump in. I wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Cleveland. Welcome to my world.
Hey, how you doing, Bruce?
Good, thanks.
Good. Listen, I have a quick question here for you. I'm a dentist, and, you know, as in every business, every now and then you have a collection problem.
No.
Yep.
You mean people aren't flocking to you and saying, hey, Doc, quick, take my money?
No, I've been pretty good with my collections. But anyway, my question is that a patient that I had, I was kind of skeptical about how they've been making their payments. And so basically I used a collection agency. And in using them, you know, the first thing that they do is they send out a letter, okay?
Yeah.
And after that, I believe that, you know, the patients called and made arrangements to pay $50 a month in the middle of the month. And that was supposed to be satisfactory.
Satisfactory to whom?
Well, to them and also to me.
Was it?
Yeah, and the reason they had this balance and that they had to pay $50 a month on is because of the fact that there was a procedure that the insurance just did not cover, which we did not know about.
All right.
So it kind of left them with a little bit of a larger balance, and I tried to be a little bit easier on them.
And they didn't
help them out. Well, in any case, this collection agency, for some reason or another, seemed to keep sending them out letters. And they called me once about it, that they were a little upset, the patients.
In other words, the computer kept generating stuff even though they'd agreed to a payment schedule.
Right, exactly. So, you know, I called the collection agency up and I said, hey, listen, you know, didn't we make an agreement about this $50 a month? I mean, you know, let it be. Well, apparently they got a letter saying that they were going to be reported to TRW on their credit history. Well, they called me up furious, the patients did. And essentially, you know, they were threatening to call their lawyer. Well, basically, this whole situation has been resolved at this point. And what my question to you is, if in a case like that, I mean, this was all a mistake of the collection agency. They were too aggressive, and I think it was a mistake with the computer. If, in fact, this ever were to be, any legal action were to be taken by the patient concerning this, if there could be any, who exactly is liable? Is it me as well as the collection agency?
You too. The collection agency was your agent.
Right.
And to some extent, you were responsible for the actions of your agent. Now, whether in this case, since they were an independent company and are supposed to be familiar with what is permitted and so forth, whether or not they could come after you. Well, I'm sure they could come after you. Whether they could be successful is another matter.
Well, now there's one other thing. I do believe that you know, I did sign a little contract, a little agreement.
A little contract, huh?
It was pretty small, but it was it had an indemnification clause in it, indemnifying me from any actions the patients take, as well as indemnifying themselves for whatever it was. I don't have the thing with me, but...
Well, that's a legal question, Doctor, and I'm not prepared to answer that.
Yeah, well...
I don't think you have a whole lot... I have never heard, doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but I've never heard of the person who was owed the money successfully prosecuted for the actions of a collection agency.
Right.
That doesn't mean it never happened someplace, but it's never been brought to my attention.
Well, I'm talking in terms of, you know, lawsuits.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Right, okay.
And I have never heard of it. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Right, okay.
But I've never heard of it. I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep over it. I too, like you, use collection agencies in our businesses. We have fortunately not great need for it, but it does come up from time to time.
Sure. Well, you know, it makes me want to go to law school, be a lawyer as well as a dentist.
Well, why not?
Then I'll have all, you know, maybe I'll have all the answers to running my practice. Yeah.
I rather doubt that too.
Yeah, at least the legal question.
There you go.
But that was pretty much my question. That's what I wanted to know.
I wish you well, Doctor.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your help.
Thank you very much for calling. Okay, kid. Let's take a little time out. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Utica, New York. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Excellent. I wanted to first of all congratulate you on your talk show host award.
Well, thank you very much. That's very generous of you.
Certainly earned it, and you deserve it.
Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
We talked a while ago. I had been looking for a job for a couple of months, and I just had a question. I've read a lot of books on job hunting and the like. I had a question that hasn't been covered. I wanted your opinion. I'm applying for a job that's out of state, a couple of 100 miles away, like a 16-hour drive. And I am wondering, is it...
A couple hundred miles? That's a hard 200 miles.
It's, well, yeah.
I think it's near about 600 miles, maybe.
It's halfway across the country from where I am.
Whereabouts?
It's in Missouri.
Yeah, that's a little more than a couple hundred miles from Utica.
So I'm wondering, it's the early stages of talking to the prospective employer. And is it inappropriate, or will it send the wrong message for me to ask the prospective employer to help me pay for any travel expenses in getting there?
Most employers will pay for that.
Okay.
I know we bring someone in from another part of the country for an interview, we pay for it.
They have not mentioned paying for it or not. As I said,
what level of a position are we looking at?
This is a program director position for a radio station.
Well, I can only tell you, and we own a couple of radio stations, that when we bring somebody in from some distance, we pay for it.
If they don't bring it up, would it be inappropriate for me to...
You can ask, what is your policy toward expenses for coming to see you for the interview?
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. And the other big warning I've read in the books is not to discuss salary until I've received an offer.
Well, I don't know if there's anything...
In that case...
Well, the thing is, you probably have a pretty good idea what they're... You know the market size, right?
Yeah.
So you pretty much have a good idea what's going to be said. Our businesses, the range of the salary ranges are relatively predictable by market size, are they not?
Yes.
And of course the size of the station within that market. I don't know if it's necessary to get involved, but it may be that the salary is at such a level that you wouldn't be interested in even going any further.
That's what I'm wondering.
Well, I don't think that's an inappropriate question. Say, look, while I know this is very premature, on the other hand, you realize that I will be coming at some considerable distance, expense to both of us. I get that in a hurry.
Right.
Could you give me some idea of the range? And they say, well, between $1 and $3. And is this something I want to pursue any further?
Okay.
Because frankly, as a prospective employer, I don't want to waste my time with you if I can't afford you.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. The only other question I had, I guess, is that I've sent out probably 100 different resumes in the past couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the only bite that has come to me. I've initiated a lot of follow-up calls and whatnot, but this is so far the only one that has called me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking,
well, you want to walk?
They must seem interested. So
I would think they must. Very competitive enterprise, isn't it?
It sure is.
Where are you looking for? What vehicles are you using?
I'm using some trade magazines.
Which ones?
Radio and Records.
Okay.
And also, I'm using a couple of talent placement agencies who take a percentage of your first year's salary if they place you.
What are the trades you're using?
I'm using it's a job sheet that I got from...
But I asked you, what trades are you using?
Well, I'm using Radio Inc.
You meant Radio Inc. I think is the best of the bunch.
And,
not because they were so generous to me, but I just... No, I've said before that I think right now, they are the top radio trade magazine.
They are, but programming-wise, they don't have a lot of openings listed in there.
Well, not a lot of openings listed any place.
Well,
Do you also read Inside Radio?
Yes, too.
Inside Radio oftentimes has ads in them.
So,
and of course, cable, cable and TV is broadcasting. Cable and TV is another, but their classified lineage is way, way down. electronic, but I happen to believe Radio Week is the primo of the bunch right now. And of course, R&R does have a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, it was nice to finally see Mickey the Mutt in one of the pictures too.
That's another program altogether.
How do you feel about the employment services where the
I've never used
pays?
one. I don't pay in advance or pay after the fact.
Well, it's a small one-time fee of $60, and then if they place you, you pay 7% of your first year's salary.
I don't like paying anything up front. I don't like paying anything up front. What kind of programming do you do?
Mostly contemporary, either country or hit radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
CHR, huh?
Yeah.
It's a tough business. Do you go to the conventions?
No, I haven't had it. I've been stuck in small markets with it.
Well, that has nothing to do with anything. No, I'm very serious. Well, before I wasn't stuck anyplace. I didn't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to the conventions. Why? Because you could meet more people in 3 days than you could meet in a whole year of sending out resumes and thumping on doors. Beg, borrow, or steal. And you may get nowhere. You may have just not. But if I were you, I would get the April convention. I'm not sure is worth pursuing much anymore with regard to radio, but certainly the September October convention, I think, is an absolute must. Just something to think of.
NAB.
The NAB, that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's something to consider anyway.
I certainly will.
I do wish you well, kid.
Thank you for the tip.
It's been a pleasure. I'm Bruce Williams, and of course, this is Talknet. Salt Lake City, Utah. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for taking my call.
I'm so glad you're here.
Hey, I got a question for you. I've been home for 2 years with my last child.
Last of how many?
Of 2.
Okay.
Wasn't making a lot at the time between my husband and I to pay daycare for 2 children. We're working and bringing home less than half my paycheck. So we had me stay home. He got a better job, and now we're trying to get a house. His income only puts us into a $70,000 home, which you can't find out here this time. So we says, well, go back to work.
Okay, girl, out of the house.
So I find me a job in-home doing data entry through modem, which is graveyard hours. So I'm doing the best that I can, staying up, getting up early with the kids and being with them all day, and it's not enough. Plus, the mortgage company doesn't consider my pay for 2 years because it's piecework. So I say, well, maybe I should go get a real job.
Well, hold on now. They aren't going to consider your salary at all for a while anyway.
Yeah, for 2 years. Well, for 3 months is what she told me.
That's all? On a regular, and that, put that word in the quotation marks, 3 months?
Yeah, she says after 3 months we can consider your pay. If it's an hourly wage, full-time, that's what she told us. That was 3 months ago.
How much are you earning on doing what you're doing now?
Between $200 and $300 a month, just because it's graveyard hours, and piecework only pays, anywhere from 0.0070 per line. You got to do 5,000-6,000 lines a night, which can take up to 6 or 8 hours. So it gets difficult to start work at 10 o'clock or so, and then work till 6 or 7 in the morning, and then have to be up 2 hours later.
And get up with the trolls, huh?
With the kids.
There's a limit to what we can expect of you.
Right. So I said, well, a real job would be a heck of a lot easier. I go to work during the day. Then I'm making better money. I don't come, I'm not cranky. The kids would be in daycare half the time because my husband works graveyards. When he wakes up, he picks them up half day, and days off, he's with them.
Sounds good enough to me.
But here we discussed maybe you should get a real job. I get the real job. Now he's saying, well, I don't think that was such a good idea.
Who's saying this?
My husband. So I'm confused.
Well, what's his problem?
Well, see, that's what I thought, well, maybe you can help me. Maybe I'm not seeing something in this.
Yeah, look, on the one hand, he's saying, look, baby, go back to work because we want to buy a house. You go back to work, and he's not happy. I mean, what is he unhappy about?
Well, one of the things he's concerned with is the car that we have may just go out on me anytime.
Yeah.
It may last another 6 or 8 months.
All right, suppose it does. I mean,
Well, see, and that's one of the things we discussed months ago is that we had a loan approved for a car and we didn't do it.
Well, if you're going to go out and buy a house, or you're going to try to do that, I don't think you want to go into a lot of debt for a car just now. That's going to work against you on your mortgage application.
Right, and that's why we didn't get the car. We were approved at 3 different dealers, and we decided no.
Getting approved is not the hardest thing in the world. Making the payments is what's tough.
Right, and so we decided to wait and get the house first because we're getting up there in the 30s.
Oh my goodness, getting up there in the I'm feeling so sorry for you.
I know, but we haven't bought a house yet. We're still renting, and we're thinking, gosh, our kids are going to be in school. We need a neighborhood where they can get adjusted. So we decided, let's go for this house thing.
I'm still handling this. Oh, we're in our 30s.
Well,
the big 3-0.
Which I guess it's just that all of our friends have beat us by about 6 years in buying houses.
That's another story. How much does your husband earn?
Well, see, that's the thing. He only earns about, I'm guessing because I've never really put this together in a year thing. It's probably like 21 or 22 a year.
And how much are you?
And how much will I make?
Yeah.
I'm guessing, I just found out today I got the job, so I'm guessing around 16.
Well, how much an hour?
$8.
8 4s are 32, $320 a week. I think your math is right on there, kid.
Yeah, so
what is his problem? I don't see.
That's what I don't understand. We're only going to be paying out about $300 daycare, maybe less, depending on how much he really picks up the kids like he's supposed to.
That's $36,100 a year.
And then if we have to get a car, we're not looking at a new car. We just want.
I understand. What is it? I still don't see what his problem is.
Well, see, I don't either. He tells me you need to get a real job, hon, because then your pay will be considered in this house, and we can get, at least a newer home, or because at $70,000 in this area, you're just not going to find anything. We found a house.
How are you going to on $21,000 a year? How are you going to support a $70,000 house?
Right.
You're not.
Regardless, we can't even buy a house on his income anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the mortgage, he's also got child support.
Well,
so,
from another marriage?
I guess I just don't understand his priorities for how to get a house and my priorities to get a house are totally different, and I guess...
Well, what does he suggest?
Well, I think he wants me to stay home and do this job, because then I wouldn't have to have a decent car to get... See, I have to go uptown.
Well, but you see, taking the job that you currently have, aside from the fact that it's a killing pace, staying up all night,
right,
and then taking care of the kids all day, which I think is kind of unreasonable.
Well, and I'm trying to do my best to make part of
it sounds like you. But the point is that there's just not enough money going to come in that way. And secondly, it's not going to count toward the house if the house is the big goal here.
And that's what I thought was. And I thought, well, even if we do have to get a car, I'm still going to be bringing in almost three times, twice what I'm making right now.
I don't see
even with the car payment and daycare. So what's the problem?
I don't know what the problem is.
So do you have any? Is there anything I can say to him?
You can say, look, we've got to make a clear choice here. We can continue to rent, and I can work the evening thing. Although you can bet your life I'm not going to be the happiest camper in the world because.
Well, and I haven't been since I've been doing it.
Well, you say to him, I don't mind working at night if we can figure out something so I can sleep in the daytime.
Yeah, and that's hard to do with dance here and.
Well, of course it is.
Here and.
With what?
Errands. Grocery shop.
Yeah, of course. There's even at 32, there's a limit to what you're able to do physically.
Right.
You still got to hit the sack once in a while.
Right.
I for recreational reasons. I'm talking about for sleeping. I think that you've said I'll go either way. And you've demonstrated that. I think that he has got to get his act together, and maybe he's feeling a little guilty because he can't earn enough money, and plus the other, I got to let you go, honey, but plus the other responsibilities he has. I think he's done well to pick a lady like you. It just seems to me that you're doing your part, let him do his. I'm Bruce. This is Talknet. might be is they can't just give it to you. They got to give it to the other customer. There are other employees who don't want it because they're covered through a spouse in all likelihood. Yes. And that's another problem.
So there's no solution that I can that we've discussed that I can think is viable, is there?
I don't know of any, except to have them pay the premium as part of your fringe benefit.
And you say then the other two.
Yeah, they have to pay everybody. They just can't. You can't select. In other words, you can't exclude people.
Now, how many employees does a company or an association have to have before they must have some group insurance?
Right now, there's no.
I thought some states might have a.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
That's what this whole health argument is about.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, I mean, I don't know of any direct, easy solution for you. I wish I did.
Yeah.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more, my friends.
Take care.
I will be. This is Talknet. All righty, let's go west to Redwood City, California. That's just a little bit south of San Francisco, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Right down, what's the highway there? 21, is it?
101.
101, right.
Yeah. Bruce, I am so thankful for you taking my call. For about 20 years now, I've been wanting to move out of the state of California.
20 years and you're still there?
I know.
Why do you want to leave, and what took you so long if you want to leave?
Well, I've lived here all my life except for 3 years when I was in the military.
And how old are you now?
34.
Well, you're just a kid, okay.
And not too long ago, I was let go from the company I worked at, and I went up to Seattle.
All right.
And because I thought that it's so beautiful up there, and the climate's nice. I like that kind of climate, personally.
And they have bumper stickers that say, Californians, don't stop until you see a palm tree.
I know.
Yeah, I've seen those.
So I went up there, and I went to a couple agencies to look for a job. And they started quoting me $9 an hour. And here in Redwood City, my last salary was $12.50 an hour. But
the cost of living is considerably different from Seattle to Northern California.
Everybody says that, but my rent is about the same as it would be up north.
All right.
Fortunately, I have a really low rent. And so I try to figure out, can I live on $9 an hour?
Well, what are we talking? 9 4s are 36, $3.60 a week.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about.
And would you say that like 1/4 of your salary should be rent?
No, it should be. That's probably your maxed out for shelter, not just rent.
Because $3.60, that's before they don't have state taxes, but they have federal. Right?
Yes, matter of fact, federal is with us no matter which of the 50 states you go to.
Right, and so that's before federal.
Yeah, you can figure before you get done, you're going to take home about $360. You're single?
Yes, I am.
$260, about $275.
Okay, so that turns out to be more like half my salary for rent. You know, because rent up there is about $500 a month, give or take. And I just don't want to let go of that dream of going up there. And
well, what's your first name?
Jody.
Jody, you're not going to like what I'm going to tell you.
I can't do it, huh?
Yeah, did I say that, Jody?
No, but
the word can't is not in my vocabulary, hopefully. But what you may have to do, Jody, is get a part-time job.
In the evening?
In addition, in an evening or a weekend or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Now, that may raise a little difficulty with your social life.
Yeah.
But that's another program.
Okay.
But I mean, if you really want to go and you can't earn enough on a regular job, you may have to work a couple evenings a week or Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
How bad do you want to go, Jody?
That's why I haven't quite moved up there yet. I'm kind of on the fence.
But you said that you were out of work right now.
Yes, I am, and I went up there, but I chickened out.
What do you mean you chickened out?
Well, I went up there and I interviewed, at different agencies, and then they told me $9 an hour, and that freaked me out because I didn't realize it was less in salary.
What did you do? What do you do, Jody? If you told me, I'd forgive me.
Accounts payable.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, the thing is, Jody, you're a young woman. But you know what one of the saddest things in the world is? Somebody who says, gee, if I only had tried or only had done.
Right.
Worst comes to worst, what can be?
I think the one thing that I'm afraid of is if I go up there and find I can't hack it.
Then you got to come back, Jody.
And I won't have my apartment.
Well, it's not the only.
I can't get any apartment that's even comparable to what I'm paying for now.
Jody, everything has its risk.
Yeah, that's true.
The question is, are you willing to take a risk? And that, Jody, only Jody can answer.
Okay.
I wish you well, sweetheart.
Well, thank you very much.
Good talking to you, honey.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Look, to Saco, Maine. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
A long-time listener, first-time caller.
Well, I'm very happy you're here. Can we do something for you?
Okay, well, I've seen different commercials on TV and advertised in magazines for different type of correspondence courses having to do with computers and automotive and other different things.
No question. There's one of the former sitcom stars does one of those commercials.
Yeah.
If memory serves me.
That's exactly the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
And they mention like different computer courses. And I'm very interested in taking the computer course. And right now my money is a little tight. So I have a pregnant wife and I already have another child. So I have to watch my spending.
What kind of hours do you work now?
Well, I work at the post office and I work evenings.
Well, isn't there a community college in your area that you could take a couple of courses in? They're very, very inexpensive.
Well, this is true, but the thing that I really like about this type of course is the idea that you get a computer with it. I do have a...
Nothing is for nothing, son.
Oh, this is true.
And if you're looking to save money, that's what you've intimated, right?
Yes.
Your cheapest way to go is to go right now. I'm not knocking the correspondence course. But the least expensive way to go is going to be to go to a community college.
Oh, okay. Well, the thing that I was thinking of was I'd be able to do it at home on my own time.
That's a nice lure.
It's true.
I mean, if you're looking to do it cheap, that's isn't that the primary thing?
Yes, basically, that is.
Then check out the community college. At least give them a shot at your business.
Oh, yes. I was planning on calling, but I just wanted to see what you thought about that.
About what?
About the correspondence course.
I am far more... Look, there's nothing wrong with correspondence courses, so we'll start with that premise, okay?
Oh, yes.
But if there's a choice between a resident school and a correspondence school, it's not even close.
Okay.
Because you can interact with other people.
Now, the idea of a better quality of training, if cost wasn't as much of a matter.
I still say interaction is important.
Okay.
That's a personal point of view.
Okay.
You get to talk to you actually eyeball the person that's teaching the course and talk to him or to her.
Okay.
And you can react and work with and beside and learn from other students.
Okay. Well,
besides, it's more fun.
Yeah, well, this is true. Now, I did try ordering your book, America Asks Bruce, through a local bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it should take 4 to 6 weeks, as I heard on your commercial. Well, it's been 4 months.
Well, we can get it out. We can get it out to you a lot quicker than that.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. I'm going to try calling up again. Could I possibly have the number?
833 radio.
Okay.
That's easy.
Okay, well.
And they can get it out to you a lot quicker.
Okay, well, I thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Good luck, my friend. White City, Oregon. Hello there.
Hi, this is Bruce Williams.
Oh, let me check. Mickey, is this Bruce? Yeah, it's you, Pop. Okay.
Wow. My name is Anna, and I have a question. I heard not too long ago of somebody down in California who could not sell their house. And so they had a write-in contest with money attached to it, and they sold their home to the one that they liked the best. Well, I live in a mobile home.
Well, what they did was they had a contest, and the prize was their house, and there was an entry fee.
Right.
Yeah, that's been done, but go ahead. You got a mobile home, and what are we going to do with that?
Well, that's what I'd like to do with my mobile home. I'd like to know what your feelings are on that.
The answer is don't.
What?
Don't.
Okay.
Do not. D-O-N-T or D-O-N-O-T, your choice.
Why not?
Why? Because, first of all, you got to find a significant number of people that are going to enter your contest.
Well, I wasn't actually thinking of a contest. I mean, I was, but I heard somebody else sold their house like that through a lottery.
You can't do that. That's illegal.
Oh.
Only certain nonprofit groups can sell chances to a raffle, and you're not a nonprofit group.
Okay. So I guess I just need to go through a realty or something.
I guess you got to go the conventional route, sweetheart. The idea of the contest thing has a certain amount of... First of all, there's a bunch of expenses up front. You have to be very careful that you would say, if the appropriate number of contestants is not reached, then you get your money back. Otherwise, you might sell 10 of them, and somebody gets your house for the...
Right, I understood that.
And that could... Well, some other people didn't, and they lost their homes or lost their businesses trying that. And furthermore, if you did that, all the expenses that you incurred would be money out the door.
Right, you're talking of advertising, that sort of thing.
Of course. And let's face it. Would you enter a contest to win a mobile home?
Well, if the price was about $100 to $200, I probably would.
Would you really?
I probably would if because I know that at times in my life, I would have enjoyed having a house, period.
Yes, but would you be willing to spend that kind of money on a chance of winning one? Most people would not.
Because I thought that like $100 was not too much. That
how much would you want to sell your mobile home
for? About $25,000.
All right, so that would be $225,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
250. You'd have to have people.
Right.
To give you $100 a smack. Do you think you could sell 250 people on that idea?
I really don't know. I thought that it would depend on how much advertising I did.
That costs money too, doesn't it?
That's true.
Have to add that on the 25,000. The 250 now become 350 or 400 people. No, I think, my dear, I'd go the more conventional route.
Okay, one more question. My husband's on Social Security, and he's allowed to earn so much per year before Social Security starts taking away money.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, go ahead.
If we were to sell our mobile home, would that affect...
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. It's only earned income. It is not... If you had $1 million and earning interest, that doesn't count. I wish you well, dear. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Alrighty, let's drift over to Olean, New York, and say howdy.
Hi.
Hi, what's on your mind, my dear?
Okay, I was looking through the ads one day, and it says real estate for sale, okay, and then it says bad or no credit, government homes and properties available, down payments from $0, easy to qualify, for current listing, call, toll free, and they give the number and the extension.
All right. The extension is merely a way to key the ad so they know where you're called, what advertisement you're responding to.
Okay.
Okay.
So I talked to the man, and he says, well, it's going to cost you $49 for a booklet, but you get that back when you buy a place. Or if you don't buy a place after 6 months and you want your money back, we'll get it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
First they wanted credit cards, and we didn't have any credit cards. And it's for low income. Okay, the way he comes across is it's low income people. And it sounds strange to me that they want, well, basically $55 for this book to tell me where these houses are.
Why does it seem strange? They're trying to hustle you.
Well, Well, that's what I'm trying to find out. You know.
No, I'm saying that they're trying to hustle you for $55.
Yeah.
They're in the book selling business. They aren't somewhere in their ad. They probably put not connected with any government agency or something of that nature. Did they not?
No.
You sure about that?
It just says for current listings. Okay. It's nothing.
Well,
it says government homes and properties available. But
save your money.
Saving money?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You know, there's so many misleading advertisements. There's one that's been running regularly in the papers where I am currently living, and it'll say something similar. Government foreclosed upon merchandise, or I guess deals with talks about drugs and that sort of thing, and money seized merchandise, right? And then in very fine print, it'll say, and other merchandise which will comprise the bulk of this sale. In other words, the big print's telling you about this stuff that's going to come from drug seizures and whatever. The implication is that you're going to get a real big bargain. And then in the very fine print, they tell you, but most of the merchandise is just regular merchandise you can buy any place. You see what I'm saying? Save your money, honey. Eureka, California. Hello there.
Hi.
Hi.
Well,
Up in the Papstein country, huh?
Yeah.
Do you know Brian and Hugo and the family?
No, I don't personally.
Well, they're the guys that own your radio station.
Oh, well.
They're very nice people.
Oh, I believe it. Well, my problem is pretty similar to the lady that you just spoke with.
Let me correct myself. I should have said Hugo first because Hugo is the father, and we fathers go to get top billing.
Well, I think that's true because my father is the one that listens to you all the time. In fact, that's why I decided to call.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking about this a lot, and I thought, well, gee, who should I talk to about it? And I thought, well, Bruce Williams.
Well, son of a gun. What's on your mind, dear?
Well, my problem is pretty similar to the woman you just spoke with. There was an ad in the paper regarding, government type of homes. I can't find the advertisement right now. I'd read it to you verbatim. But it was an 800 number, and my husband called it, and I guess it's a package that they send you with listings in your area. And so it was a certain, like a $60 fee for this. So he went ahead and said, okay, that sounds fine. And the gentleman told him that the way that they pay for this is you take a check of your own, and they give you, my husband would give him our account number off of the check.
And they take it right out of the check, out of the account.
Yeah. Well, okay, so anyhow, my husband did it. And then as soon as he got off the phone, he thought, that was really stupid. I don't know anything about the company or anything like that.
Hold on. Let's separate things right now. There's nothing really stupid about that mechanism.
Yeah.
Now, the viability of the purchase, in other words, whether it's worthwhile buying this service, that's one issue. I don't have any problem with the direct withdrawal for a specified amount of money. Do you understand what I'm trying to do?
Yeah, I do.
But whether or not your husband spent the money wisely is a whole different issue.
Okay. Well, the problem that we ran into was because we didn't know anything really about the company, and it was just the advertisement in the paper, we were, afraid that here we're kind of leaving a company open that we don't even know, saying, here, you can take this out of our account, or...
Well, would it be any different if you'd sent them a check or sent them a money order?
Well, that's the thing. See, my husband called back and said, I'm sorry, this is my mistake. I don't feel comfortable about this method of payment. What I would like to do is please send you a money order or a cashier's check or a check. And they said, no, we do not do business that way.
Oh, it's fine. You say, I'm not doing business with you then.
Well, that's what he did. So.
And then you alert your bank.
Well, what they did is they said, you call your bank and you ask them. So we did. And they said, we feel that it's a risky thing to do. It may be a legitimate company, but we wouldn't, think it was a good thing to do. So my husband, being courteous, called back the company. I want to cancel this order. I just want to let you know so you don't send your whatever through, or there's going to be a stop payment. Well, they said, we can't do anything about it, and went to the the next department. So he said, may I please speak to someone in the next department? They transfer him, and they said, oh, no, it's still down in that other department. Well, he got, from...
You're being romanced.
Yeah. So finally, he tells me, get to the bank, hurry up, and make a stop payment on it while he's on the phone. So I did, and my bank said they wouldn't even charge us for the stop payment because obviously there was something, weird going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I get back home, and by then they had made him talk to the supervisor of this company, who bawled him out and harassed my husband, asking him why would he want to withdraw.
Well, let me ask you a silly question. Why did your husband tolerate that? Why didn't you just hang up?
I don't know. I think he wanted, to try to explain the situation, and he didn't want to insult the man, saying that his company was, not a legitimate company. But I just couldn't believe for the amount of $60 that a company would do that.
Well, my dear, he should have hung up. You can believe it.
Well, since we put a stop payment, on that...
Stop worrying about it.
There's nothing to worry about.
I think there's nothing to worry about.
Oh, good.
But let me reiterate, I have no problem with making a purchase under those conditions. I think the purchase he made was unwise.
Yeah.
We could say, I don't think you'd stop if he bought a dozen eggs that were all rotten and he paid with the cash. He wouldn't go out and say, I'm never going to spend cash again, would he?
No.
Okay, so the method is not to be condemned, just the product that he purchased.
Okay.
I wish you well, love.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. Cincinnati, Ohio. Hello there.
Hello, Mr. Williams. How are you tonight?
I couldn't be better, Tiger. What's on your mind?
Well, I just had a question. I listen to you all the time. I deliver pizzas. I'm still in college, making money, and I listen to you on the radio at all hours. So
you're throwing papers in the middle of the night, huh?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Well, the question I had was actually concerning my father's business. He owns a commercial contract cleaning company. We clean commercial office space, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And he's having a bit of heart trouble lately. So it's not a funny thing, but it's really caused us to, think about what would happen if, of course. And we were wondering about the value of the company. He makes about, after taxes, about $70,000 a year. And we were wondering if since there is no basic overhead, we don't own any office space, all we have is a van to carry the assorted equipment, et cetera.
Well, the thing is that kind of a business would diminish in value so rapidly as to startle you.
Really?
Unless you continue. In other words, if something were to happen to your dad, somebody's going to have to step in and that day and keep running the business.
Well, yes. I mean,
Well, that's not a throwaway. Whereas there's some businesses, some years ago when I got hurt pretty badly, fortunately I had very good employees and whatever, and things went on pretty well.
Yes.
But there are other businesses that are intentionally focused on one person.
Well, okay, but perhaps what I'm getting at here, I'm not making myself very clear, is if the business were to continue to be operated, perhaps by myself or a number of other people that work for us, since, it is a very profitable business. I mean, he only works about 6 hours a day. I was thinking, if you owned a restaurant that made that kind of money, it would be worth quite a bit.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to explain to you is the first thing you got to do is damage control.
Yes.
Because if you're coming to clean my place and you don't show up for 3 days, I'm going to get rid of you. The whole business could go on the toilet in 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, assuming that damage control was taken care of, would the business still would it be worth more than say the value of the contracts?
Oh, I'd be willing to say the value. You mean the gross? You mean?
Yes.
A little hard to say for a lot of reasons. If you're prepared to finance it, you're going to find it much easier to sell.
All right.
Secondly, if you're prepared to guarantee that so much business will stick for a reasonable period of time, which is something I would want if you were selling me a service business.
Yes.
I'd say it would be worth a bit more.
Is past performance of accounts evidence of their longevity?
Not necessarily, because of a couple. They may be there only because of the strength of your father's personality.
Oh, that's true.
Or some other connection with your dad. And if he goes away, they may go away.
So in a nutshell, you're saying if he goes, the business is like...
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said the first thing you got to do is heavy-duty damage control to demonstrate to the clients that everything is going to be just the same.
The quality will be...
Absolutely. The quality, the dependability, the price, all that good stuff.
Yes.
Because I don't know how to overemphasize with a small enterprise that's focused on one guy, that could go away almost instantly.
All right.
Let's assume for a week nobody goes out and cleans. Your dad has a serious heart attack. You think those people go to their offices and stay dirty?
Well,
they're going to be on the horn with somebody else. It's going to...
Well, I mean, that's... And I imagine, just like any business, though. I mean...
No, it's not true of some businesses.
Well, okay, yeah, but...
Because this is a everyday affair.
Well,
let's assume that you're... let me see if I can give an example. Let's assume you have a hardware company.
Yes.
Well, I don't buy hardware every day. Now, the guy that comes in tomorrow and I'm closed, I may never see again. But if I'm open in 2 weeks, the guy who hasn't bought anything in 2 weeks comes down. He's not even ever know I'm closed, is he?
Well, that's exactly right.
But in this enterprise, I'm going to know the next day if you're closed because everybody's office is dirty.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to get to.
Okay, so, well, that's interesting. And I imagine selling a business like this, you'd also, it'd be difficult to tell somebody, well, I've sold the business, but you couldn't assure them that.
Well, but you do in a service business. One of the things that you introduce the new guy, and you might introduce him as my new associate or my new partner.
All right.
You ease people into those things.
Gently.
Gently. I wish you well, kid.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your call. Your old man's lucky to have a guy like you around that's interested. Keep hustling. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Anderson, Indiana. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
How are you doing today?
I couldn't be better, kid.
That's great. Thank you. I've got a question. Currently, as a part-time job, I do a delivery service for the local newspaper.
All right.
And
you throw newspapers?
No, I do bundle drops. I take the carriers into boxes.
Okay.
And, currently, what I've been doing the last 2 years doing this is I've been taking the mileage off as a tax deduction, and it's worked out pretty well for me.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a possibility I'm going to be getting a little different setup here pretty soon. It may require me to buy a larger... I use a small truck now, but I may have to buy a larger vehicle, possibly a van, and get significantly more miles than what I'm getting now. I drive 80 miles a night now, and it looks like I may double that at least. But like I said, pick up quite a bit more money.
Sure.
But my question is, buying a new vehicle, and at this time, would it be better, A, to buy a vehicle and take the oil change, all the maintenance deductions on it, or stay with the mileage?
Well, there's nobody can answer that question for you. You got to work it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Empirically, that means after the fact.
Okay.
You don't have to claim the mileage till the following year.
Right.
Well, you got to have to add up all of your expenses, and then see what that number is.
Okay.
And then you add up all the miles, and you do you hit the multiplication key. Well, you get 29 cents a mile, I think, is the allowable number right now.
28.
All right. Multiply it out, and there's a number there. Which is the greater number?
Okay. If I take the go the other way, what about can I take my car payment, or is it just
look, the interest portion of your car payment is clearly deductible.
Okay.
The other part is you're acquiring equity, and that's not deductible, I don't believe.
Okay. What about the depreciation on it?
Then you can take the depreciation over 3 or 4 or 5 years, depending on how much you've invested and so forth.
Okay.
But you see, what you're asking is an impossible question to answer unless you do the calculations. Okay. And that's what accountants get paid for.
Well, I thought maybe, with the experience you've had...
how do I know, for example, suppose you blow 2 transmissions.
Uh-huh.
That's $3,000 or $4,000.
Well, with a new vehicle, I hope...
Well, without regard to that, what I'm trying to get to, there's unexpected expense, isn't it?
Right.
Or you have a collision loss, you don't carry... there's a million things can be around.
Okay, one more question, and I'll let you go then.
No, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You've got to write the expenses down.
Right.
and see if that's the best way to. I'm just trying to think of an analogy to that, and I know there is one out there, and I can't think of what it would be, where you have to work the figures 3 or 4 different ways to see which is to your best advantage.
Well, I know one thing I've done to taking your advice on, that's to get an umbrella policy for my home and for my vehicle and so forth, to cover $1 million coverage because of this job. That extra, umbrella policy, do you think that would be deductible because of the job? It's
not extra, but if it's the insurance on the van, which is a business vehicle, is clearly a business expense.
Okay. Okay, I thank you very much, sir.
I do wish you well, guy.
You have a good day.
I shall indeed. Let's go to WFLA country, otherwise known as Tampa, Florida. Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice talking to you.
Well, I'm very happy you're here, kid. What's on your mind?
Thanks. Just got kind of a little hassle with my auto insurance company.
Make it kind of on the quick side. We have exactly 2 minutes.
Okay. I was charged with an offense by the police, after which all charges were later dropped.
You got a ticket of some kind?
Well, it was related to a DUI, but it was...
No, be very specific. You got a summons for DUI?
That's right.
And then you beat it.
Well, actually, it's kind of detailed and without going into all that, but the judge, dropped all charges.
Then you beat it.
Right.
That's the end result. You got charged, then you beat it.
The charges dropped.
Okay.
And so forth.
Okay.
And that's been a year and a half ago. Everything's fine.
Right.
But in this state, the Department of Motor Vehicles can suspend your license without any due process. So technically, my license was suspended for 2 days before the judge, issued an order to reinstate it and so forth. Now, a year and a half later, my insurance company says, well, your license was suspended, and we need proof that everything is in good standing.
All right, then
That's fine, which I submitted.
Yeah.
And by certified mail.
Right.
And now they've sent me a letter of cancellation. And when I called to inquire about it, they confessed that, well, they were really backed up on processing their work, and that they just might not have gotten to it yet. And I had to understand that.
Well, I don't understand that at all. What do you mean? Why would they cancel you if you were exonerated, for lack of a better term?
Well, they submit that I had not submitted the proper proof of reinstatement.
Well, when you say, yes, I did, here's the return receipt requested from the certified mail, I'll do it again.
Right, that's exactly what I said.
And
they said, well, you just got to understand that we got a lot of volume of material to process, and it may take some time.
Well, I tell them I wouldn't understand the slightest. And I'd be making a very strenuous complaint to the Department of Banking and Insurance. Hey, kids, it's not easy, but give it your best shot. Try and do what's right. I'm Bruce Williams. Keep in touch. Greensburg, PA. Hello there.
Hi. Thanks for taking the call, Bruce.
You're very welcome.
Okay, the situation is that about 6 years ago, I became disabled.
In what way?
A pulmonary problem relating to work.
Okay. You got a heart problem with?
No, heart's fine. It's
the vein, the vessels.
It's just a pulmonary problem. I don't breathe quite as well as I used to. Now,
okay, I screwed that one up nicely. Go ahead. Is that because of what you did at work?
That's correct.
What kind of work did you do?
I worked in a foundry.
Okay.
Now, it took me a while to win the compensation case, simply because I worked for a jerk. During that time, we had very little income. So, among other things that went away were my insurance policies, life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 43 now, and I'm totally uninsurable. Nobody will even talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
They get, as soon as they start into any kind of the medical questions, it's over. The thing that I've been seeing, though, is on TV, they're talking about these life insurance plans where you can't be turned down because of health, and they're mostly for seniors.
Well, but you can buy those, and the reason that they are first of all, they are expensive per unit, and secondly, they have a limited benefit for the first couple to 3 years.
Okay.
If it's $1,000 policy, maybe it's $300 or $400 the first couple 3 years.
Well, according to my physician, the disease I've got is not going to kill me. He says I'll have every chance in the world of living out to 65, 70, 75 years of age. It's just that insurance companies take a look at this and run screaming the other way. What I was interested in was getting some sort of insurance so that if something happens, the wife's not left completely.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me cut back a little bit. Have you talked to some of the substandard carriers?
How do you mean?
There are companies that write rated stuff at a higher premium. Have you talked to them?
I wasn't aware of there was any.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Apparently I've been talking to the wrong people.
I would think so. Now, I don't know that they can write you, but I'm telling you, there are companies that write at higher premiums, people with heart conditions and all sorts of good stuff. And that's where you ought to be talking. I mean, you talk to a major broker. I'm not talking about some schlump that represents one company.
Well, that's who I've been dealing with right now.
Well, you find a major life insurance broker, and I think that they'll probably find somebody that will write you at a higher premium.
I understand. I'm going to take a hit that way. That's not so much a problem. Interesting. Okay, can I address one other thing?
Sure.
You're
calling from Pennsylvania, right?
That's correct.
Where's Greensburg? Just round numbers.
About 35 miles southeast of Pittsburgh.
All right, I've got a friend in Pittsburgh who writes that kind of insurance. If you want to drop me a note, I'll put you two in touch.
Okay.
It's up to you. I'm not trying to give him business.
No, that's fine.
But I know a guy in Pittsburgh that does place that kind of business.
Write you in care of who?
Danny will give you a telephone, an address.
Okay.
Just write me in care of your local. What station do you listen to?
WHJB.
And just write to them and say, please forward to Bruce.
Okay. Probably a couple weeks back, you had a guy call you who is extremely disturbed that he went to a major retailer and bought a stove, and it came without a plug.
Yes.
Okay, there is a reason for
that. Was in Great Britain, I think it was manufactured.
No.
Yes, it was manufactured in Great Britain.
Well,
and what they discussed was that in Great Britain, they come with there's all kinds of different power supplies, and you have to know what you're getting into.
Same thing in the United States. There's at least a dozen different types of the 220 volt plug that can go on there. And that's why they're all made, like an electric dryer and a stove, they're all made without the plug, because depending on the area of country, the country you're in.
Well, this one was manufactured in some other country. I remember. I'm quite clear on that. But then the very same thing may be true here, as you said.
That's exactly right.
Well, son of a gun. I appreciate it. Listen, hang tough. If you're interested in that other thing, just drop me a note, and I'll put you two guys together. Wilmington, North Carolina. Hello.
Hi.
You're hi? Hello, hi.
My name's Christy. I was calling on more of a legal aspect, I guess.
Well, I'm not an attorney, Christy.
Oh, I understand that. I was listening to your show, and I decided to call in. I've never called in before.
Well, I'm very happy that you're with us, my dear. What's up?
Well, my brother had just went through a divorce, and he had moved in with me here in Wilmington, North Carolina.
How lucky can you get?
Very, I guess. But my brother had gotten a bind, and through the company he works for, they had rented a car for him, and he had got behind in payment. And then with a friend for his supervisor that he works for, he had it's a rental agency. He had rented some things through that company.
What kind of things?
It was like a entertainment system. It was one of those kind of companies he had rented.
Okay.
and where he owed this money, his supervisor and the other man from another company where he had rented the entertainment system, they were friends.
Mm-hmm.
And they came out to my house one night at about 11:30 when my brother wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to collect money or the car or the entertainment.
They probably co-signed for your brother, huh?
Well, this was done through these companies, and they brought guns with them is what has scared me.
They brought guns? Dear Lord, they collected the hard way, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it scared. See, I'm a single mom with 2 kids, and I had never been in a situation like
single mom, married mom, whatever. People aren't supposed to come collect with guns.
Well, they did. So, first thing I thought of, I mean, of course, I called 911. You know.
Well, what happened exactly? They came to the door and said, "We want."
Yeah, one of the men was around back of my house. He had been peeking in the windows, and he had a gun, and I guess they're called bandoliers, strapped across his chest with the bullets in it.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're called.
And
shades of Pancho Villa.
Yeah, I mean, they were dressed up like he was Rambo or somebody.
Oh boy.
And it really scared me, so I called the cops, and they had got away before they could get there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll tell you what, Christy, it's a good story. I want you to hang on to it for a second, okay? Don't you go away. We'll be right back. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a single mom, Christy, in Wilmington, North Carolina, who has a brother who has some bad habits and not the best of friends. Somehow or other, there was some borrowing done. Brother didn't pay off, and the friends came at 11 o'clock at night with guns. She called the police, rightfully so. And when the cops got there, these miscreants had fled, right?
Yes, sir.
Now what?
So the next morning...
Where was your brother, by the way?
My brother, he still lives with me now.
Well, he came home that night?
He came home later that evening.
And what did you tell him? What did he say?
He was rightfully upset. See, he had done this through, the man was his supervisor, and the company had done this for him, had got him the rental car, and he had already made arrangements with someone else in the company to make the payments.
So what happened the next morning?
So the next morning, I went down to the magistrate's office. That's what the sheriff's department told me to do. And the magistrate told me that I needed to speak with someone before I took out any kind of warrants because he thought I had a good, I guess, a civil suit against 2 of the companies. And that's what I was calling for.
When did all this happen?
This happened about a week ago.
And you still haven't filed?
I have an appointment Friday with my attorney.
I don't know what the civil suit will be about.
The magistrate said because the companies, those people represented the companies, and it was like a bad faith collection where they came out.
He's a master of understatement.
Well, that's what he said.
Well, I think you have to be guided by your attorney. What is your brother doing about all this? He's the bum that started this problem.
Well, he says that, he's the situation that he's in, he was left with no money, and he got behind in some of his payments, of course, which got me in this situation because he lives in my home.
How old are you, dear?
I'm 22.
Well, that says afraid of. You're very young. And how old is your brother?
My brother's 28.
Boy. Sounds like your brother's taking big advantage of Christy right now. So what is he doing about all this, dear?
He's still trying. He can't. From the job that he's in, it is very important, and he's scared that he's going to end up losing his job because the man who was over his supervisor and for my brother says that there's nothing he could do about the situation, and those 2 still have to work together. And he has been making payments on the money that he owes.
When he talks to this guy about this rather stupid maneuver, what does he say?
He doesn't really say too much of anything.
Well, be guided by your attorney, dear, but I try to get my brother out of the house as quick as I can. He sounds like bad news to me.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's so tough.
I know he's your brother, but
Yeah.
You got 2 kids to be worried about.
Yeah. Well, the main reason that I called was to find out the legal. I know you're not.
I don't know, honey. I would be I'm just hesitant to comment on that. And I don't know how long you can wait to file a criminal action against these people. That's another program, and of course that's going to put your brother's job in jeopardy as well. I wish you well, sweetheart.
Okay.
But remember, your first responsibility is to you and to the kids, not to him. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. WDBO Country, Orlando, Florida. Hello.
Bruce, thanks for taking my call.
You're very welcome.
I've got a question. I heard this question addressed 4 or 5 years ago, and I should have taken heed when I heard it, but I'm going to run it by you again, and maybe you can give me some advice.
Let's do it.
I financed a vehicle and did not have the insurance that the bank required on the vehicle.
The collision and comprehensive.
Right. I did have the minimum amount allowed here in Florida, but not enough for the bank.
Well, no, it's a different issue. The liability is required by the state to put plates on the car.
Right.
The collision and comprehensive is required by the lender to protect the asset that's collateralizing the loan.
This is correct.
And you didn't have the collision and comp.
I did not have the collision and comp.
And so it follows that the bank or the lender, whoever they may be, took out collision and comp.
They sure did.
And they take out at prices that would stagger a bull.
Well, I just paid the vehicle off, and I still owe about $5,500.
Yeah.
What are they in the situation where they can barter, or where they can?
I see. The problem is that insurance is extremely expensive, and the reason it's expensive is because the insurance company literally does not know what they're insuring.
Right.
They're automatically on every risk where someone like yourself doesn't provide the appropriate insurance. And as a consequence, they get big premiums. I think they're entitled to them because they don't have, at any given time, they could not tell you how much they could be on the hook for.
Right.
Well, why did you let it go?
I just at that time in my life, it wasn't a priority for me, and I was very foolish. But for the last 2.5, 3 years, I've carried the amount of insurance that.
Well, how many years did you not carry the insurance?
There's a span of probably all together 1.75 years, maybe 21 months, 22 months.
All right, let's say it's 2 years. That sounds a little high to me. Do they have well, let's do it this way. They gave you a period of time that the car was not covered. Does that coincide with your records?
Yes, it does. Unfortunately, it does.
Well, in that case, I'm afraid you got to pay them.
Okay, are they ever in the situation where they'll negotiate?
Well, I can't tell you that. Try.
Okay.
See what they have to say.
I would hope so, because I've got mortgage through them and 2 other car loans through them, so hopefully that'd give me a little leverage.
Well, but the problem is they had to pay that premium.
Did they?
Oh, yeah.
Who do they pay that to? Is there
they have an insurance company, or they are self-insured, one of the two, but the likelihood is they go out into the marketplace.
Would they have invoices on those premiums?
Very possibly.
Paid for me?
Very possibly.
And do they ever mark that up to show a profit?
That may or may not be the case. I don't know.
All righty.
But I do know that it's expensive, and it's just a major mistake to ignore that. But
most definitely is.
But you're not the first, and you won't be the last.
Now, they just put that on the end of the loan normally, and the loan payments stay the same just for the extended amount of time?
No, not necessarily. They may want the money up front. There's a whole bunch of permutations there, but they will not release that title till it's paid. That much you can depend on.
All right.
Sorry about that, Tiger.
That's all right. We live and learn.
You got it. Take care. Wappingers Falls, New York. Hello.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi, whereabouts? I've been in Wappinger Falls. Is that near Glens Falls?
It's near Poughkeepsie. It's about 60 miles north of New York City.
Oh, that's not where I thought. That's not where I thought it was at all.
Oh.
Okay.
Right on the Hudson.
Pardon me?
Right on the Hudson.
Yes, and on the way up, somewhere near West Point.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Other side of the river, but yes.
Got you covered. What's on? Oh, I know where it is. Sure, but used to be an Air Force base right across the road there. Stewart Air Force Base, was it?
Yes, and it's an airport now.
Yeah, it's a MTI Metropolitan Transportation Authority airport, MTA airport now.
Okay.
I landed there one time. I remember just taxi the plane over, and I remember seeing the sign. Anyway, now I know where you are.
Okay.
What's on your mind?
We had some water problems in the basement of our home, and we hired a contractor to excavate a trench, and he put perforated pipe, crushed stone, landscape fabric.
This is called a French drain.
You're asking me or telling me?
I'm telling you. That's what's called a French drain.
Okay.
And it goes down to a sump pump where it gets kicked away, right?
Correct.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, and we had this work done, and we had vacated the house because my company just transferred me to Wappingers Falls. This house is not in Wappingers Falls.
Where is this house?
In Endwell, New York.
You find all these obscure places.
Outside of Binghamton, New York.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we vacated the house. We hired the contractor to do the work. He did do the work. I stopped by the house. It is 150 miles from where I'm living in Wappingers Falls, but I went back. The work was completed. 4 weeks later, I went back to Endwell, checked the house again, and the excavated area had sunk for approximately 8 inches. And the serious part of that was that the drain spout, the downspout, which he had connected into the storm sewer as part of his work to remove this water problem in the basement, the downspout became disconnected from the storm sewer, and water was then going along the foundation wall, and we had water problems in the basement again. We did have the contractor back to
That's correctable, certainly.
Well, we had him refill the area and put the downspout back into the storm sewer.
Right.
He has charged us to do the refill.
Oh, absolutely no.
And, well, I don't know how to...
tell him that's part of his job. It was not appropriately backfilled, or you wouldn't have the settling.
All right. He says he's never been called back. I asked several questions, like, when you write a proposal, why didn't you plan for the fact that there might be settling and he may need to be called back? And even if I had to pay the additional cost, but was warned about
but the settling, you're supposed to be able to, well, there's a lot of things you can do. Now, admittedly, you're not going to put a lot of pressure on close to a foundation.
Exactly, that's what he said.
But on the other side of that, if you used a lot of bank run in there and got rid of the original fill, bank run doesn't settle.
Okay. He did say something when he refilled. He did refill the area, called us up to say the job was complete, and then say this time he didn't use aerated soil. Now, aerated is my word, not his words, but my first thought was, my goodness, you're telling me the first time you used aerated soil, which then had to settle.
Well, what you can do, too, to make soil settle is to saturate it with water.
Well, you've had a lot of rain in this area.
No, you do with a hose.
Oh, okay.
As you put the dirt into the trench, you saturate it with water, and that's an automatic settling process. Now, that takes time and it takes money. Or you don't use dirt, you use bank run, which doesn't compress. There are several possibilities, but settling is not uncommon, but it certainly should be corrected by the contractor at no cost to you.
Okay.
I wouldn't pay him.
The original job was $2,300. The additional job for material, backhoe, and labor was an additional $460 on top of the $2,200.
I wouldn't pay him. I would tell him that the job was not complete when the settling took place.
Okay. Now, because we vacated the house because the company moved me to Wappingers Falls, we were unable to market this house on our own, which my company gave me 120 days to do so, and we will be turning this house over to the relocation
Yes, I understand.
And we were very afraid that if we don't pay the bill, perhaps the contractor would put a lien on the house.
He might. Let them fight about it. I wouldn't pay him. You're asking me what I would do.
Yeah.
Now, if your company is going to pay it, then you might say, I'll take the line of easiest resistance. But I personally would not pay him for that. I don't think he's entitled to be paid for that.
Okay. Now, when you say let the company pay the lien, is that what you're saying? Or
I don't know if the company's going to pay as part of the relocation expense.
No, because it was the agreement as far as them purchasing the house from us, purchasing the house from us, part of the agreement was correcting the water problem.
And get it done in a hurry, and then by the time that if the house will change hands before the lien is filed, in all likelihood. If it does get filed, we'll cross that bridge, and you might want to pay it just as a matter of expediency, and then sue him in small claims court to recover it. But I would not pay it personally. It's my opinion.
Okay, and my explanation to him is that
that should be part of the job. That his job was to return the soil to its appropriate grade and maintain that grade.
Okay. Because the original proposal does have, this is a sentence out of it, refill excavated area. So in my mind, when I went back a month later, that excavated area was not.
Well, it wasn't properly. It was refilled. wasn't properly backfilled.
Okay.
I wish you well, love.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good luck with your new home. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Well, this is for a speech elocutionist around the Rock, Texas. Hello there.
How you doing, Bruce?
Okay, kid. How are you?
Taking my call. I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. That's what we're here for.
I have a mailing list question. Let me give you a little history. I had a small part-time chimney sweep business up in the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently...
Did you wear a high hat and formal clothes?
Pardon me?
Did you wear a high hat and formal clothes?
No. A lot of sweeps do, but I particularly didn't.
Okay.
No.
Go ahead.
I recently relocated to the Southwest due to my full-time employer relocating me.
Mm-hmm.
So I sold my chimney sweep mailing list to another chimney sweep who's in the same area that I just left.
Where did you leave from?
The Northeast.
Whereabouts?
New York.
Okay.
Now, the only items that changed hands were the mailing list, which I mailed to him, and he sent me a check. Now, this particular sweep turned around and sold the list to another sweep who appears to have just started up a sweeping business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I never met this guy. I never heard of him before.
Well, what difference does it make? You sold the list to this other guy. It's his list.
Okay. Now,
you can do what he wants with it.
I don't have a problem. You're absolutely correct. I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
Now, this, we'll call him Sweep B now.
Mm-hmm.
He sent out a flyer on his letterhead, and it states, and I quote, recently I purchased he states, my particular company from, says my particular name, who, as you may know, has relocated. So my question is...
You can't say that unless that's the case.
That is not the case.
Well, you can't say that.
I'm still a DBA owner in New York,
mm-hmm.
and the only thing I sent to this first sweep, sold him, was just the mailing list. It was, an insignificant amount of money, really.
But you didn't sell him the right to use your name.
No, I did not.
Well, in that case, you can't do it.
It was... Okay, so my question is, what type of legal action can I take if any?
Well, why would you bother?
Your financial reasons.
What financial reasons?
I could get another X amount of dollars for...
How many names did you...
To a second sweep.
No, he has every right to sell it to a second sweep.
Uh-huh.
But the second sweep didn't have a right to use your name.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to have to prove damages and whatever. It's just not going to be worth it.
Not worth my time.
Nah. How many names did you sell?
250.
I can't see what's going to be worth anything to you. I'd forget about it. I would send him a letter saying I resent the fact that you used my name and please don't use it again. Otherwise, I will take appropriate legal action.
Uh-huh.
But as far as getting any money out of it, what can you get? What'd you sell it for? About $1 a name?
$500. $2.
$2 a name.
Double.
Well, that's true.
What you said, right?
That's true.
Okay.
I'd put it aside and forget about it for me.
Okay.
But I just fire off a letter saying you have you have never been granted the permission to use my name, and I would expect you to stop immediately.
Okay.
Good luck, kid.
I love your show.
Thank you so very much. Omaha, let's get together.
Hello.
Hello there. We've got about 2 minutes to share together. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm for the last year or so, I've been working on a new product for a sprinkler irrigation system.
Yeah.
And it's almost ready to start marketing. We've gone through all the hassles of patents and everything else and engineering and so forth. My question is this. When you make something and you figure out all the parts and how much it's going to cost you to actually make it, what formula or how do you go about figuring out what they're going to do as far as list price?
Well,
you start thinking about selling it to a distributor.
You got to figure out first of all, you got to figure out how many hands is it going to pass through.
Probably from myself to a distributor to the contractor.
To the retailer.
To the retailer, right.
There's four levels there. I can't tell you. I can't give you any magic formula.
Well, I've heard people say 3 times, 9 times.
Forget about the times routine for the moment. The first thing I determine is, and this is kind of backward, but it is a linchpin when you think about it. You got to figure out what price can the contractor charge for it, and can be competitive with other similar gadgets.
There is nothing out there like it yet.
All right, then put it another way. what can they charge for it that people are willing to pay for something that's new?
That's what I've been working on right now.
Well, I mean, I think that's where you got to begin. And of course, you got to work and see, well, can we afford to sell it for that? Let's just see what costs you $1. Okay. You got to give it to the distributor. Probably charge the distributor $1.50, $1.75. Distributor goes to the contractor. He'll probably pay $3. Goes to the retailer, to the homeowner. He'll probably mark it up to $5.
Okay, there we're talking small numbers. We're talking like $250 to start right now.
Well, whatever. Just add zeros.
I see. So there's nothing wrong with working from the front side.
Well, you have to. You know, the appropriate way to do it is to go from the step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But the reality is, if you could take a look at it and just do a real quick run through in your mind in 30 seconds, and you come up with a number that is so ridiculous that nobody's going to buy it, the whole thing becomes an academic exercise, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So you do have to go both ways. But if looking for a magic formula, I wish I had it, but I do not. Thank you for your call, my friend. I hope it works out well for you. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
He said, can I give him a small loan for about 6 months?
Small loan. How small a small loan?
$3,000.
Why does he want? This is a former handyman. He doesn't work for you anymore.
No, he's not working. He has been very transient throughout the United States. He always seems to come back. Whenever he does come back, I always give him work to do because I know he's a good worker. He's looking for a $3,000 loan for 6 months.
Why?
Okay, he is starting out. He's getting married. This is his second wife, and he bought some land, or he wants to buy some land, and put a mobile home on it, and start all afresh.
Can you afford to give him a $3,000 wedding present? That's what we're talking about.
Really? You don't think I'll get paid back, huh?
I wouldn't want to bet my life on it, no.
Well, he's never asked me for money before.
Well, that doesn't change anything, in my opinion.
Right. And see, I know, I'm smart enough that I know I should have secured by some real estate or something.
Even there.
Really?
Chances are you're going to, well, you heard what I said. You look, the guy's he's transient, he bops around, bops here and there, hasn't got any money, getting married, taking on new responsibilities. Come on, cut me a break. Did you expect to see that money again?
Well, we were going to fly down to see him get married.
No, it's okay.
And we have the tickets already, and we were going to probably give him a couple $100 for the wedding.
Okay.
Wedding present.
Well, I don't have any quarrel with that.
I didn't really expect him to.
What is your first name?
Darlene.
When was the last time they called you the First National Bank of Darlene?
Well,
I would just say, look, I'm very sorry. We're happy to see you get married, and we wish you well, and we're going to give you a wedding present, but we just aren't in the position to loan you money.
Okay. Well, I take your word for it, and I will do that.
I do wish you well, love.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. Hello there, Syracuse. Welcome to my world.
Hey, Bruce. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
I got 2 questions for you regarding a Chapter 13 bankruptcy I filed.
Let's talk.
It's not actually about the bankruptcy itself. It's about actually life after. I filed about 4 years ago, and I finally took the step to go back to school.
And you paid, did you stay in 13 or did you ultimately go to 7?
I stayed in 13. I've got like 6 months left to pay it off.
Okay,
and going back to school, some of the choices I was looking at were business administration, accounting. And I was wondering how that would affect my future in those fields.
What, the fact that you had a 13 in your history?
Yeah.
I don't think dramatically.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, would you have a problem hiring an accountant that filed 13?
No, not. I would want to know why.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to give you just, if you came to me for a job, a carte blanche, that doesn't matter to me. The fact that you were a prisoner for 20 years, I want to know what you went away for.
Right.
The fact that you did something that was less than prudent, maybe.
Definitely.
Maybe. I'd want to know about it. Somebody could go do one of the chapters because they went to a business and they worked their butt off. It didn't work out. I can appreciate that because I've been in winning and losing businesses.
Okay.
And I'd look a lot more kindly on that guy than I would on the guy that blew it on credit cards because he was living beyond his means. Right. But even that happens. I mean, that's not an unforgivable crime either. And the fact that you went 13 rather than 7 says something about you.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave all my creditors hanging on the breeze.
That says a good deal about them.
Good. Okay.
About you.
Good.
Something positive about you.
Right. And my second question is, I'm getting married in 2 months. And I've heard you say before that when one person in the marriage has bad credit and the other person has good, that they should keep their financial...
I'll figure as separate as you can for a while, yes.
Now, how would we go about doing that, even though my fiancée, she still would like to use my last name, but we want to keep them separate?
Well, that's fine, but you can use her last name when she goes out and is social and whatever.
Right.
But when it comes to her credit card, she keeps it in her maiden name.
Just keep it in her
Keeps her checking account in her maiden name.
Right. Like license, too?
Well, the only reason that it might be wise to keep those things in her maiden name is so there's no inadvertent connection with you for the time being.
Right, and we definitely want to avoid.
Right, and she's not breaking any laws that way. She chooses what name she wishes.
Okay.
But I mean, when somebody sends you an invitation to their wedding, it would still be Mr. and Mrs. John Smith.
Right.
But her financial life would be Mary Kafobi Cats or whatever her name was.
Okay, Bruce.
Good luck, guy.
Thank you for your advice.
It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. Hello there.
How are you tonight?
I couldn't be better, Tiger. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm thinking about changing employers, and I'm in the public sector, mainly the federal government.
What do you do for the feds?
I run a computer system, more or less, and I'm going to be leaving and going to a company who wants to utilize the knowledge that I've gained. And my question is, I've been with the government long enough that I got some perks like 5 weeks of vacation a year. In the new company, I talked to some other employees in the company and said, oh, it's almost an ironclad rule. You start out with 2 weeks. Well, salary's a little bit more. That's not a problem.
How much more?
Oh, $3,000 to $5,000.
All right.
But I really need I really need more than 2 weeks of vacation.
Well, you may need it, but you may not get it.
Well, that was my question.
Go negotiate.
How much poker do you have to play here?
I don't know. How badly do they want you is the question.
Well, they asked me to come and work for them.
All right, but my question stands.
Yeah.
They want you badly enough, they'll give you a lot. They don't want you so bad, they'll say take a hike.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what I thought. The other thing is my pension with the federal government is pre-taxed. They take my pension out after I pay taxes on it. And somebody...
It's post-tax then.
Oh, they take... Yeah, it's taxed money.
All right, that's post-tax money.
Okay.
Okay.
And somebody said that puts you in a unique situation. You're not like an IRA. You got to roll it over. You never touch it because if you do, there's a penalty. And I was just wondering if that's...
Well, if you've already paid taxes on it, how about the money that it is earning? Have you paid taxes on that?
If you leave before you retire, you don't get anything except the amount of money you put in.
Is that right?
Yeah, now, if I were to leave tomorrow and leave it there, I get no interest, but I can't touch it till I'm 62.
But you don't get any interest in a long period of time?
No.
Well, why would you leave it there then?
That's kind of what I thought. So I'm going to take it and roll it over into
some other friend.
XYZ stockbroker that's pretty good.
Sure.
Here's the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you think that I've been working for bed so long that, you know, I just sit and wait. You know, you get your time in, you get this, you get that. It's all down in law. But it's not unheard of to say, hey, look, I'd take a little less money if I could have 3 weeks of vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Or would you just not even say that? Say,
I wouldn't say that.
I really need 3 weeks of vacation.
I say I'm getting 5 and I'm willing to make some kind of a compromise, but I don't want to give it all up.
Yeah.
See what they say.
Yeah.
Good luck with it, kid.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Mentor, Ohio, hello.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there.
Hey, glad you took my call.
Well, I'm glad that you made that call. What's on your mind, my friend?
Well, I've got a video camera that I took in for repair to the factory.
Yeah, authorized repair guy.
Right. And they fixed it once, then it broke again about a month later. So they fixed it again. But this time they lost the tape that I had, and it was kind of a special tape because it had my daughter's baptism on it and things.
Can I ask you, why in the world did you leave that tape in there?
That was what was wrong with it. I couldn't get the tape out.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
But you said they fixed it once.
Well, that's what I thought. It worked for a while, and then about 2 months later it broke.
Oh, and you subsequently taken the pictures of your daughter.
Right. It was still under. Repair.
Well, forgetting all that, you took a picture with it, and then the tape was jammed in there, and you took it back and said, "Let me get my tape out."
Right. And when I first called them back about it, they said they fixed the unit, then they sent it to me. I noticed right away the tape was missing, so I called them. I didn't get a whole lot of action right away, and they said, "Well, you know, we'll look around the shop," and that's about all they did. About a month and a half later, I was starting to think, what can I do? You know, I started even thinking about filing small claims or something.
For what?
That's kind of what my question is to you, to, you know, file for the tape or in lieu of the tape a certain amount of money.
The tape is worth about $4.
Right. That's
and most times the only responsibility they have is the value of the tape, not the content of the tape.
Okay.
It's like it's hard for me to remember whether I do stuff on the air or in my column, but I dealt with a thing where the people taking a long vacation. Seems to me it was Australia or something. It's a big vacation, right? And they had their film developed, and they got lost. And of course, the responsibility of the developer is only to replace the film. Of course, it doesn't replace the memories.
That's pretty much what
But we see, in your case, a little different. In their case, what would be the obvious answer in their case?
In their case?
Yeah, they have lots of film to get developed. What would be the obvious answer?
Well...
No, serious. There's one very obvious answer. Take each individual film to a different place or take it to the same place on a different day.
Right.
So they can only lose one at a time.
Right.
And I'm serious. And the second would be to take it to a place where they process it right on the premises, so you eliminate one step in the loss possibility when they're shipping it out to get it processed.
Right.
But the big thing, take them one at a time.
Okay.
Your case couldn't do that. I think you're stuck.
Yeah, they made, the thing broke again. The camera broke a third time on me. And they made me what I consider a real generous offer as far as being unable to repair the camera, but I didn't know if I should try and get a little bit more out of them or not.
Well, I don't know how you're going to, I mean, it's unfortunate the tape disappeared.
Yeah.
But it can't be replaced. That's obvious, but I don't think they're going to have to owe you for the content of the tape.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought you were going to say, but I wanted to hear it.
Figures. I do wish you well, guy. Austin, Texas, hello.
Hello?
Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
I couldn't be better, baby. What's up?
Well, my husband and I are about to begin construction on a new home, and we have some questions about all of the, I said nickel and dime stuff a while ago, and someone laughed at me that it's not nickel and dime.
Yeah, those flea bites will eat you alive.
Oh, man. The first question that we have is, the land that we have is 2 acres that my father gave us. And it has been surveyed when it was subdivided 8 years ago. Now, the interim financing people say that it has to be surveyed before we close on the interim financing.
Yeah, they want an updated survey.
Excuse me?
They want an updated survey.
Okay, why is that?
Because things could have happened since then.
Such as?
Well, there could be an easement across the property. They could be the first survey was an error.
Okay.
They want one certified recently. Now, you can call the same surveyor and they ought to give you a price.
Okay, well then, also at the end when we close for our permanent financing, they're saying they want a survey at that time also.
Yeah, because then they're going to have to locate the buildings on the survey.
Okay, I was thinking that all the survey showed was just the boundaries of the land.
No, ma'am. It also shows the position of everything on all the improvements on the land.
Oh, okay.
And their relative position to lot lines and that sort of thing where there could be incursions.
Okay, that one I can understand. I guess it's
what they're saying is, look, we're loaning money against this property. We want to be damn certain what we're getting into on a current basis. I can appreciate where it doesn't make you too happy, but from their point of view, it makes eminent sense.
Well, and then the next thing we ran into is when we initiating the mortgage with the permanent financing, we had to have 2 appraisals done with our house plans and our specs and the property and the whole 9 yards. And now the interim people want to do yet another appraisal.
Yeah, because a lot of savings and loans were burned by appraisals that were too generous. Most appraisals today are very much on the conservative side. Put another way, the appraisers are directed to come back with conservative appraisals.
Right.
And an appraisal that was done 6 months ago may be damn near valueless today. Property could have gone up or it could have gone down. A lot of things could have happened. When we get back, I'll explain a couple of those. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I am chatting with Lydia in Fort Myers, I'm sorry, not Austin, Texas.
I thought you moved me.
No. Fort Myers is next on my agenda. They're in the on-deck circle. Well, of course, there's no baseball being played, so wherever they are, I don't know. But we'll get to that in a minute. But you're concerned about all these nickel and dime stuff, which is not such nickel and dimes.
Right.
But everybody in the chain is looking at the CYA, cover there, you know what, for good reason. For example, you have an appraisal that went through, say, a year ago on the property your parents gave you, right? Well, in the meantime, the skunk works might have gone in next door. Or there may be a highway coming right down the pike that's going to put 6 lanes of traffic in your front yard. That's going to materially change the value of that property. Well, they want to know about these things because then when you find out about it, you're allowed to take a hike, and they get a piece of property worth a lot less than you owe on it.
Well, we owe nothing around that, so hopefully we'll end up well on that. And
well, but you're borrowing money for them and doing this interim financing.
Right. Well, it's getting really frustrating because it's amazing.
Well, you see, I would not do it the way you're doing it to begin with, but that's another program.
Well, can you give me some insight into how you would do it?
Well, yes, ma'am. I would have found a builder that was strong enough financially to buy the 2 acres from me.
Let's say we're building it ourselves.
No, ma'am. Well, you're not listening to me.
Right.
Well, you're going to go out there with a hammer and nails and build it?
Well, we're contracting it out ourselves.
But then you're not listening. I would find a builder that was strong enough to financially to buy the 2 acres from me. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to pay me the cash for the property, and when you get the house built, we're going to walk through it. I'm going to buy it from you, land and all. But in the meantime, it's all your responsibility to get it done. I don't have to worry about mechanics liens. I don't have to worry about acts of God, strikes, and whatever. It's all on you. And if you don't buy it, if you don't deliver, well, then you got 2 acres and I got my money.
Okay.
Now, I know that's not the usual way it's done.
Right.
But that's the way I would do it. Because otherwise, you've got all the responsibilities all the way along.
Right. Well, we realize that, and it's going to be a long haul.
Well, but it's not a question of a long haul. The question is, are you employed?
Yes.
And your husband's employed?
Right.
Who's watching the store during the daytime?
We have a neighbor who's retired.
No, that doesn't. No. There's no professional involved. Do you have an architect?
We did it ourselves.
Well, that's not smart either, in my opinion. That doesn't mean you're not capable. There's nobody supervising.
Well, we do have a gentleman who's going to act as our general contractor.
Who's supervising him?
Oh, himself. He is a contractor, a general contractor.
Well, I'm not comfortable in that environment unless I know the guy so very well.
Oh, we do.
Well, okay. I've done a lot of building. I've only done what you're talking about once. And that was only because I knew this guy so intimately.
Right. We know this man very well.
All right, fine. Maybe it'll work.
Well, we're hoping.
I hope so, too. I wish you well, dear.
Thank you.
I'm just a pessimist when it comes to working with folks like this. Too many things happen. That's why we would prefer to do it a little differently. Fort Myers, now it's your turn. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
No, let me see. This is Henry. Bruce stepped out for a few minutes, but I can do the job.
Well, I'll wait till he gets back.
What's on your mind, baby?
I just want to say I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm real thrilled to get through to you. I'm really nervous, too.
Not to be near my neighbor, almost.
Almost, practically.
Well, probably you're in the rich neighborhood. I'm up in the slums, you know.
Actually, I'm on the other side of the river.
Oh, my goodness. What's on your mind, dear?
Okay, I started working for this company. It's a national retail company that sells footwear.
And what do you do?
I am an assistant manager.
All right.
Okay, I started working about 5 years ago as a part-time employee, just for extra income. I had after about 3 years, I had the opportunity to move into full-time and move into the management training program. I took them up on their offer. I had a pretty good paying job, but it was with a family-owned company. I wasn't going to get anywhere with that company, so I quit that company and went into this other one full-time.
All right.
With the promise of going into management. About a year after that, after going full-time, they actually made me an assistant manager. I sat down with the area supervisor and the regional supervisor, and we had a nice long talk about my commitment to their company and what they were going to do for me and what our goals for the future were and everything, and I thought, great, things are really moving along. Well, since then, nothing has happened as far as my advancement has gone.
How long ago was this? 18 months?
About 2 years ago.
Okay.
No, it was about a year ago.
All right.
I was promised that the next position that they had opened, a management slot, training slot, that I would get it. That was a year ago. Since then, 3 other men have been hired in and have gone through the training. And when I have inquired about it, I've been told, well, we knew that you wouldn't want to relocate up to Sarasota, or we knew that this wasn't really for you.
Is that true?
No, it's not.
You would have relocated.
Yes, I would have.
Well, you should make that very clear to them.
I have.
And what happens then?
Well, the next opening you'll get, we'll be sure of that. Well, then the next opening came, they hired in another man.
I want you to hang on a minute because I'm getting a little behind in my responsibilities, but I do want to pursue it, okay? Stick around. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm talking with a lady in Fort Myer who has been passed over on 3 occasions. At least you were implying that you were passed over because of your gender. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to come right out and say that to them.
Why not?
I guess it's because I don't want to make waves, I guess. I mean, I don't want to imply something that might not be true.
Well, what do you think, and what makes you believe it?
Well, I do know that they do treat women differently in this company. If we wanted to hire someone to work at our store, we have to send them to one of the other area managers who is a man to get his approval. But men,
they don't have the same requirement?
No.
Why is that?
I don't know.
How old are you, dear?
36.
Seems to me you'd be looking for another job.
Yeah.
I mean, if the company, first of all, being sexist, forget about the morality, forget about the law for a moment, all right? It's stupid. It's stupid from the point of view of the management. You take the best person that comes along. I don't care if they're wearing skirt or pants or whatever. When we're looking for managers, and we have a policy in at least one company that's expanding very nicely. We, on every occasion, have hired from within. And would you believe? Now, we may have the same problem. Everybody who's been promoted has been a female. Of course, they've been the best we had.
Right.
What am I going to do? Hire some guy, promote some guy to have equal opportunity? Hell with that. I'm looking for the best people in the company. And the last 7 or 8 that have been the best have been female. And I'll defend that all day long. We didn't hire, and their ages are run from, oh my goodness, an elderly 21 to about 30. And we have people a lot older working for us, but these were the best that we felt in our company. Now, should we give it the next best because they're the right ethnicity or the right gender? Nonsense. And it's hard for me to believe that they wouldn't find people of both genders. But then you could argue, well, you haven't, Bruce. We weren't. Of course, we aren't that big. And I'm sure sooner or later a guy's going to come along.
Yeah.
But hasn't so far.
They do in other areas promote the women. You know, there are probably more women managers than there are male managers.
Well, why is that? And why did you get passed over then? That's kind of
right. That's
kind of undermining what you're telling me.
Right. I think that there are more women because the men will stick with it for a certain amount of time and then realize that this isn't what they want to do, or they're not making the big bucks like they thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
They have families to support, so they move on to a different job.
Now, I hate to ask this question, but is it possible that there may be something that you're doing that isn't maybe being done as well as it could be?
Well, that's what I asked my boss and I asked other workers, well, I know that the one area supervisor doesn't like me. He's commented on that. He just doesn't like me.
Well, that happens.
And I don't know why I didn't do anything to him. He doesn't like a lot of people.
Well, that happens, unfortunately.
Right. And then the regional manager has told me, well, to be honest, he told me right to my face, he says, you're not a thorn in my side. I tend to forget about you. So,
I was told that by somebody, one of the presidents of our company. Said, you don't give us any trouble, so we don't pay attention to you.
Right. He told me, I'm sorry, I just tend to forget about you.
Mm-hmm.
So should I become a thorn in his side and say...
Well, let him know you're around, but I'd be looking for another job for me.
Do you think the prospects are fairly good for a 36-year-old with 5 years of almost management experience?
If you're good at what you do, the prospects are good at any age, in my opinion. If you're good at what you do. I think there's still a few people around like us that are looking for talent.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to have a love affair with these people. I'm looking for them to make me money.
Right.
And as I said, their gender and their age is totally unimportant. In my career, I've hired people of pre-20s for positions of responsibility. And in one job, I hired a lady 80-odd years old, and in another business, we hired a man in his 80s. That's quite a spread.
Yeah.
I am not concerned about gender. I'm not concerned about ethnicity. I'm not concerned about age. I am concerned about performance. I don't have the luxury of being able to humor myself in those areas.
Right. And unfortunately, these people keep promoting the people that aren't working out.
Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't sound like their management techniques are highly honed.
Yeah, and then the rest of us that do stick it out are the ones that they should be looking at. I've been with this company for 5 years.
Right.
And you know as well as I do, in this area, that's almost native.
That's a lifetime up there. I agree with you. I'd be looking for me. I didn't say quit. I said start looking.
Start looking.
I do wish you well, dear.
Thank you, Bruce.
Hi, Bruce Williams. I'm so pleased you're here. This is Talknet. Knoxville, Tennessee. Hello there.
Hello.
How are you, baby?
I'm fine. How are you?
Super.
I wanted to talk to you about power of attorney. What does that entitle a person to do if you're made power of attorney?
Well, there are different kinds of powers of attorney.
This is what's called a durable
power of attorney.
Uh-huh.
It allows you to act for the other, or are you talking about for having someone giving it to someone, or?
Well, I had my great aunt has given me.
Okay, she's giving you durable power of attorney.
Uh-huh.
But that ordinarily doesn't kick in until something happens.
Until something happens.
In other words, it's key to maybe her health.
Okay, now she is, I'm having my mother is staying with her, and they can't get around too well. She can't get around, my mother's having to cook her meals.
Well, the point being is you can issue a durable power of attorney contingent upon, say, a physician of your aunt's choice saying no, he's no longer able to handle her own affairs, or she could just give you a durable power of attorney.
Uh-huh.
Is that what she did?
Yes, that's what she did.
Well, then you can act on her. You can sell stock, sell real estate, take money out of the bank, pay her bills, do whatever you want to do.
I can do all that?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well,
Now, but hold on.
Okay.
Some companies, for example, some brokerage houses, require that the durable power of attorney be done on their form.
Uh-huh.
So what does your aunt have in the way of assets? Let's do it that way.
She has a home that's paid for.
What else?
She has a car.
Yeah, what else?
She has some CDs.
All right. You want to check with the bank to see if they'll accept this durable power of attorney, or they may have a special form. What else?
Her furniture, and that's about all I know.
And in that case, just check with the bank to be certain that this durable power of attorney is acceptable to them.
Okay, now the bank notarized it for me on her checking account, but I don't know about her CDs yet.
Well, notarized it. What does that mean? The notary only...
well, I mean, the same bank notarized it, and then they put my name on her.
Oh, that's another matter. If they put it, then they're accepting it, then you have no problem.
Oh, okay. And one other thing, you said, I don't know, a while back about people selling their collectibles, and you didn't know what magazine.
Well, I said there are a lot of collectible magazines.
Right.
But
There's an called one, I don't know, Antique Trader.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you want to know the name of that.
Well, I appreciate that.
We collect antique baby bottles.
Antique baby bottles?
Uh-huh.
You're putting me on.
Oh. From the 20s and 30s. Pull down nipple.
When did baby bottles first begin?
I think the late 1800s. I'm not sure. We have one collection that we just got. One bottle. It's called a Death baby bottle.
Spell that.
DEATH.
A Death baby bottle.
It was. It couldn't be sterilized, and babies were dying from it. And it was made in England.
Well, I'll be darned.
And there's all different kinds of baby bottles with different designs and.
How in the world did you get interested in that?
We belong to a bottle club, antique bottle club.
How did you get interested in bottles?
Well, that's a long story. They just old bottles. I guess they fascinated my father, and then I started getting into them. And there's a club we have. Knoxville has one of the largest antique bottle club show in the world. And
you go out to old landfills and dig around looking for stuff?
Yeah, we've got a lot of people that go into that.
Mm-hmm.
Old Privy's is about the best place you can find old bottles.
Is that how charming?
Ones that haven't been used in about 50 years.
Yeah, people used to drop the bottles through the hole, huh?
My husband didn't want the wife to know he was drinking.
Ah, well, that was one place she wouldn't be looking.
And then after they quit using that, the outhouse, they would start throwing their trash and their bottles into it.
Son of a gun.
And it can be some money. We just found out that we've got a bottle that's worth about $200.
Is that right?
And it was made in the 1830s.
And you didn't find that in the Privy, though, did you?
No, we found it in an old box of stuff.
Okay. Good talking to you, sweetheart.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I'll tell you, what a place to start. Where'd you find that? Oh, I found that in a 50-year-old Privy. How exciting. New Britain, Connecticut. Hello.
Yes, Bruce. It's a pleasure to get through to you.
Well, I'm glad you're here, my friend. What's up?
I don't know if this is a sign or not, but I have a question about Knoxville.
You really? Go for it.
I'm currently contemplating a job offer that I have from another company.
Yeah.
I'm 27 years old. I grew up in Connecticut, gone to school in Connecticut. Everything I know is in Connecticut.
Time to get out of Connecticut.
To get out.
Sure, there's a big world out here. I'm not knocking Connecticut, but there's a big world out here.
So I should have no problem. I mean,
well, I don't know about that. I can assure you, they speak English. They have green money. You'll find
I would be making a lot of green money.
You'll find the brands of soup on the shelf are pretty much the same ones you find in Connecticut, and so on and so forth. Same TV shows, even a little radio, the same.
Right.
But if the money is good, tell me about you very quickly. Married, single, what?
27 years old, single. So those things aren't. I think now's the time to do it.
Why not?
Right.
Well, let me ask you this: what's your first name?
Pete.
What do you got to lose, Pete?
Right. Guess the old saying, nothing ventured, nothing.
But forget about that end of the equation. I want to know about the other. What do you have to lose?
Probably more job security.
At 27, you're really worried about job security?
It probably shouldn't be.
I'd be looking for the adventure in life and the chance to make some money and then proceed. Security at 20 years next year and tell me, boy, they got a great pension plan. And then I'm going to get sick to my stomach.
I've been listening to you all these years. I have to plan ahead.
Well, I think planning ahead is one thing, but you can get the plan ahead paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, this is a decent job that they're offering you there?
Similar job with a 30% increase in salary.
And then and probably a 20% reduction in cost of living.
And no state income tax.
Pete, why are you talking to me? Why aren't you on an airplane?
As a matter of fact, I'm going to go down and see the city tomorrow.
Very well.
I will be down in the city tomorrow evening. I've done the pros and the cons. I've asked a lot of different people and just wanted to know someone that I know that's been throughout the United States.
Well, you see, even if I hadn't, and I have been to Knoxville, that isn't the issue, really.
Okay.
The issue is that and this is in no way critical of Connecticut.
Right.
But no matter where you are, it's good to go out and see other stuff and experience other places and meet other people and whatever.
Right.
No matter how, I've settled on, I really like Florida.
Right.
But I didn't make that decision when I was 27.
Right.
Maybe I should have. I don't know. Nothing's changed. It still isn't snowing here. But the point being that for a young guy, the adventure, getting away and a new environment, a new place, I think would be a hell of a challenge. And on top of all that, you got more money and a lower cost of living, right? And no income tax. I wish you well, kid. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Forks, not two, not four, but Three Forks, Montana. Hello there.
Good evening, Bruce.
It has to do something with rivers, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It's a pretty part of the country up here.
Indeed it is. What's on your mind, my friend?
I live in Marietta, Georgia. And
what are you doing in Three Forks, Montana from Marietta? Escaping the floods and stuff, huh?
I commute. I haul produce out on the West Coast, north-south out here, but I still live in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
We bought our home in Marietta in 1972 with 2 vacant lots on each side, and although we did use an attorney to buy the home, and I took your advice before you came on the air, I guess, or before we know that worked out very well, but I did not buy the vacant lots on either side of our home, which I should have, and that's not the problem. The problem is the homes were built on each side of us, and the one to the one side, although while the lots were vacant, we had no water problems, no water flow problems at all. The houses were built, and it seems as though a spring either developed or was disturbed, and since probably 75, 67, whenever that house was built, water flows up under that house and flows out the garage doors, across the driveway, onto our lawn, and is a real problem. I was made more aware of that problem when my wife, being very coy, asked me to, when I was home the other day, to go out and mow the front lawn. I did,
you did.
I wondered why she was standing out watching me until I just about sank to my knees. And she did that for that purpose, for me to really understand the problems that she has. It's not a large area, but it is a serious, serious problem. What should I do?
Well, if the construction of those homes in any way changed the natural flow of water or channeled water onto your property, they have a responsibility to correct that problem.
That's the exact thing I was saying to her. Now, how would I prove that? Or would there... Well, there's not necessarily proof there, is there?
Yeah, the proof is the water's come onto your property. Now, the only other argument would be, well, that water's been coming to that property for years. Now, I don't believe that to be the case, but that would be the argument. That the only thing they could put forward, they didn't change anything, it's just the way it always has been.
Well, I think a defense against that argument would be this water's been flowing out of the house all these years, which would be natural. I don't think it would be natural.
Well, if there were a spring there, that would be natural. If there was already an existing flow of water in that direction, it could be natural. But you're telling me the problem didn't exist until they built the homes.
Not that I can recall, and there wouldn't be anybody around to refute my argument of that.
Yeah, well, rephrase that. I forget the way that you just put that. Not that I recall.
Sure.
You just qualified it. I just say there was no flow of water until you guys built your houses, and we have no problem with building the houses, but you have a responsibility to see that I'm not damaged by that.
Now, what about this is 94? What about this having been somewhat of a... The problem is worse, and we tend to let it forget it as it dries up. Of course, Atlanta has been very wet this spring, the summer, matter of fact.
Yeah, it sure has.
But and this is a prolonged problem because I think it raises the water table, possibly.
Well, I don't think I don't think so.
But if we have a particularly dry summer, although there's still some flow out of their garage.
Comes right out of the garage.
Garage doors, absolutely. Comes right out of the garage.
Wouldn't you think they'd want to do something about this?
Well, the landlord, as long as he has since moved and rents that home now, our former neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as he can get a renter in there, it's not a problem.
Well,
he tries to rent it in the summer, naturally.
I think I would, first of all, find out if best you're able the genesis of the problem. You speculated about a spring and so forth.
No, I know where it is coming from.
In that case, then I would notify the guy that I expect this to be cleared up. It's his problem, that he created it. And you also would want to either use an attorney or do your own investigation of the local ordinances, which should deal with the safe channeling of water. Every community that I've ever had to do with has something on their books about not disturbing adjacent properties with runoff from your. You have to make your own arrangements for runoff. So it comes down to.
Who should I start checking with that?
Well, that would. Are you in the county or are you in the city?
County.
And of course, then you find out you go to your county and look at the codes.
Okay. Could I bring up one other thing, unrelated, real quick?
Go.
We financed a car 4 years ago, paid it off, and my wife brought my attention to the fact that we got this letter stating that attached is your, thank you for financing, et cetera, attached is your copy. Please put it in a safe place where you don't lose it.
Mm-hmm.
However, that was the only thing in the envelope. I says, well, honey, what did you do with the title? That's all that was there. I said, come on.
No, they make mistakes too.
Sure, absolutely.
Don't you love these things that closed? I get a letter today, and closed is thus and such, and I'm shaking the envelope. What do you mean enclosed this? What are you crazy? Happens, particularly with automatic stuffing machines, but that's another matter.
Yeah.
You write back to them and say that the letter did not enclose the title and provide it. They may have to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Numerous telephone calls.
Telephone calls don't get it usually. You got to do it in writing.
Well, the end of this thing is I couldn't accomplish anything by phone because what reason would we hold your title? We have no need for your title.
Well, you made a mistake. That's all. We didn't say that you had any reason.
They didn't make a mistake because it was sent to us. It's our mistake, and we'll file for a lost title for you. It'd be $18.
Well, for $18, let them file it for you.
I call try to find who might have jurisdiction over finance companies and everything.
For $18, look, you got better things to do with your time. Go worry about the water in the backyard.
No, the problem is title is fairly important, and
it isn't. But if the duplicate, they said for $18 they'll replace. Is that correct?
Well, I could file for it. As the end of the story is that a year later we did get the title.
You did.
After it did not exist and we already had it.
From them, you mean?
Also found that there is no department in the state of Georgia, evidently, that regulates these folks.
Well, I don't have any let's face it. I don't have a problem with that. Everything shouldn't be regulated.
Sure.
The marketplace should regulate.
Sure.
So I don't have a problem with that. But this business, we never make mistakes. I love that.
Yeah.
But there's not much you can do about it. This part of, I've heard truckers say, "Hey, we never speed," and We both know what that is. That's like the check is in the mail, you know?
Well, when it comes to regulation, we got all the wings stamped.
You bend a few, too.
No. Bruce, thank you so much.
I've been there. I do wish you well, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Hey, well, you're in Marietta, right?
Yes.
Well, how often do you get home?
Oh, you're going to embarrass me now about once a quarter.
You're kidding me.
I work the West Coast.
You're on the road for 3 months at a shot.
Well, how it happened is I got a company in Calgary that I started doing business with 40 years ago, and we about eliminated Florida.
Oh, boy. The only reason I mentioned because, we have a nightclub in Buckhead.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd invite you to stop by and say hello, that's all.
I will do that one of these times.
Okay, guy.
I've heard you mention it.
Take good care. Tallahassee, it's your turn. We have about 2 minutes to spend together here. Oh, we can go. Doesn't matter. Forget what I said. Just go.
Okay, I will. First, I'd like to say that I think you're probably the best talk show host out there on the radio right now.
Well, you're very generous. Thank you. It is the longest-running talk show in the country.
Well, let's keep it running even longer.
Thank you. National. There's some locals but longer, but no, it's the longest nationally running show in the country.
And
go ahead.
I did love your what you said about the palmetto bugs when you first moved to Florida.
The ones that you can put a saddle on?
Yeah, we've got them here too.
I'm sure you do.
Okay, here's the situation. We moved down here a couple years ago, and I'm a used book dealer, and I have been working out of my house for about the last 7 or 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is in school now, and I'm not traveling on the road like I used to, and we're thinking about settling down here. I'm opening up a bookstore. I'm building bookcases right now for it. My wife's in a 2-year program at the community college to become a nurse, and no used and antiquarian bookstore has ever succeeded in Tallahassee, primarily from what I can gather because people have not managed them and run them properly. No air conditioning in the store, stacks of books everywhere where people have to move books in order to look behind them at other books. Not neat, orderly businesses, which is not the way I would run one. I also inherited a sizable amount of money, some of which I have already invested, some of which I used to pay off all our debts.
How much money did you inherit?
About $325 to $350.
Well, a lot of money. You're right.
Yep. And here is here's the question. I've already paid for the whole year for the lease on the storefront up front. Mm-hmm. That way I got 12 months for the price of 11.
Okay, I want you to hold on to all those thoughts, and we'll get back together in a moment. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a gentleman in Tallahassee, Florida. He wants to open up a used, but I think not quite in the ordinary context of a used bookstore, something a little more upscale than that. Is that correct?
Correct.
He said nobody's ever made it, that they've never been air conditioned, they were sloppy. I think that's part of the charm. This is a hell of a confession to make, but I spent a lot of time as a youngster in used bookstores. I used to enjoy going through those stacks and finding... I used to read a lot of the Jerry Todd books and the Hardy Boys and that kind of stuff when I was, just 11, 12 years old. And I used to root through those books on a regular basis.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. But, I mean, what I'm talking about is if it's not air-conditioned in Florida...
You're out of luck. I agree with that.
There's a problem there, and also with the humidity you have in Florida.
Well, also the books are not going to keep very well with the humidity.
So...
air conditioning is civilized, let's face it.
Right, and you have to think of the comfort of the client or the customer.
Of course.
And then with the stacks of books, when you have books where people have to move 3-4 rows of books in order to get to the last ones on the bookshelves.
Something wrong with that.
Right, those are the kind of things I'm talking about.
Well,
like I said, the last attempt was about 12 years ago. There are two universities, a community college, Tallahassee, the state capital, 125,000 plus people in the city. You'd think one would run.
Well, you would think so.
Right, but now here's the situation. We want to buy a house. However, if a bookstore doesn't run, we'd let my wife stay here long enough for her to finish her education. And I know that you think that you need to, if you buy a house, stay there at least 5 years. You don't go rushing off and selling it.
A minimum of 3 years just to recover your expenses.
Okay. And I'm wondering, should we continue leasing a house for another year to see whether the bookstore will take off?
I think that would be reasonable. What do you need the responsibility of a home for right now? How old are you guys?
I'm 46. My wife's a lot younger.
How much younger?
14 years.
Messing around those young kids, huh?
Oh, yeah. And we've got 3 children.
Oh.
And they each want their own bedroom.
Well, but there's plenty of places to rent.
Well, 4-bedroom houses are hard to find to rent.
Well, first of all, how old are your kids?
7, 8, and 9.
Well, it's nice to want your own bedroom, but that's too bad, kids. You're not going to get your own bedroom. All the time my kids lived with me, they never had their own bedroom until the older ones left, and then they got them by default. And they didn't grow up too deprived, in my opinion.
No, I don't think they did.
That would not be a reason to buy a house.
Okay. So then you think it'd be best to just invest the money for about a year and
I would think so.
Do you have any preferences for investments?
Oh no, I don't want to get into that. That's a whole other thing. I think, though, in your case, the operative term should be conservative.
Okay, all right.
We're not going to explore what that might be, but I think conservative is where you ought to be.
Conservatives where I ought to be.
I do wish you well with the business, guy.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Let's go to Lost Wages, Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello there.
Hiya, Bruce. Thank you so much for taking my phone call.
From the family center now, I see.
More or less.
Yeah, they're trying to switch gears from
right in midstream.
From Sin City to bring the kids.
Yeah, and they're doing a good job.
Would appear so.
Okay. Got a question. My parents are retired, and they're moving from New York to Florida.
Mm-hmm. What part of Florida?
Beverly Hills.
Where's that?
That's right outside where the Ted Williams Museum is.
Where's that?
I don't know. That's all they told me.
Okay.
They called me up and said, we're moving pretty soon.
All right.
Which could be 6 months. I don't know yet. They haven't moved in 30 years.
That should be an interesting experience cleaning that house out.
They started about a day or so ago.
That ought to be good for a couple of years.
They found, my mother used to write to Richard Nixon, and she found old letters when he was vice president that he used to write to. My question is, I've heard a lot of negative stories about long-distance moving. Can you give me some information how I could guide my parents?
It's not easy. It really isn't easy. That's what it comes down to. First of all, if I were talking to my folks, and there are certain things that your parents have acquired that they're going to want to keep. Let's start out with that. But if they have the ability to purchase new, replacement furniture, for the most part, I would do so.
Okay.
The heavy furniture that was popular when your parents were married just is not a real. It's not Florida stuff. And you walk into some of these light modern homes, or what could be modern airy homes, and you see this heavy furniture. It looks so out of place. It's just. I know they're comfortable with it, but really it's out of place.
Okay, yeah, they're not taking a lot.
I'd get rid of that stuff.
Ironically, they have a brand new bedroom set and a brand new living room set. They just bought some of this stuff, so they're not in the position, obviously, to get rid of it.
Does it fit though with the Florida decor?
They're going down to Florida in about 4 weeks to look at some houses.
Well,
No.
You're not going to find homes in Florida where the heavy New York stuff looks halfway decent for the most part.
That's true.
But as far as the direct answer to your question is, there are certainly reputable companies that will move you. And you want to talk to them about solid prices, not estimates. You want to talk to them about insurance, and I get insurance from an outside source if it were possible. I would pay to have the stuff packed, and I would insist that we were going to unpack the stuff in their presence, or in one of their, the major stuff. I don't mean the cups and saucers, unless they're Limoges. so that there's no question about claims and whatever.
Okay, if they decide on a mover, how much should they give him as a deposit?
I don't think that's a major concern.
Okay. Is 10%, 50%?
I don't think it's a major concern if it's an ICC licensed mover. But the big thing is you want to talk about packaging and whether, an estimate, I believe they can have 10% variation. I have no problem with that, but never mind a 50%.
Okay.
So, well, we weighed it up and it weighs a lot more than we estimated because that's the way some entrepreneurs have been known to get the contract by lowballing, fully knowing it will come out those numbers. But the more important thing would be 30 years of acquisitions. If you're a real nice son, you'd volunteer to go home for a week or so and help them.
I was there 2 weeks ago.
And you'd be certifiable, but...
And as soon as I got back to Las Vegas, they called me and said, now we're moving. And I didn't have a chance to help them at all. So I think it's going to fall on my sister.
Poor sis.
Yeah, poor sis. Bruce, I thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure, Tiger.
Thank you much.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. Hello there, Big D, Dallas, Texas. How are you?
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
How's it going?
Everything is just fine, thank you.
Great. This is like the third time I've called you, I think.
Boy, you're a regular here. What's happening?
Well, what would you think about the chances of selling radio time part-time with... I've got sales experience, but I've never sold any radio time.
I don't have any problem with that if somebody will hire you.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Well, I mean, I don't know. We own a couple of radio stations in Texas, and we might very well be inclined to give you a shot. But we're 125 miles from Dallas.
Well, exactly. I had a particular station in mind here, and
well, the bigger stations are not going to hire you part-time.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I work nights. I work 4 to 9 nights, and I mean, I could, I have days available, but I have to be at work at 4, so I don't know.
Well, all they can say is no.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I don't know. I'll just have to give it a shot, huh?
Why not? How old are you?
35.
You're certainly mature enough to be a peddler. Why not?
Oh yeah, I know.
What's the first thing you got to sell?
Me.
That's right. So go sell you. Good salespeople are like gold.
Okay.
Good is described as people who bring in the orders.
Well, the thing is, I'm never sold any radio time, like I said.
Oh, he'll never do it any younger.
Well, but I mean, would they be willing to train?
I don't know that.
Okay.
How are you going to know unless you go rap on their wood?
Okay, because I mean that's really, I think that's, I couldn't imagine. I'm sure that it's a lot different than selling other things.
Than selling liquid concrete, I'd agree with that. But I mean, the good salespeople can sell anything. And you have to. First of all, do you like radio? Do you believe in radio?
Absolutely.
What's your other job from 4 to 9?
I set appointments at a dating service.
Well, you're a salesman there too.
I'm sorry?
You're kind of a salesman there too, aren't you?
Well, I am. I've got sales experience, and I get commission. I don't actually pull money, but I definitely, we close people and use sales techniques, set appointments, and
go for it, kid.
Okay, can I ask you a question about a lady that called you 2-3 months ago, maybe longer? And I've always wanted to find out whatever happened.
Well, talk to me. I may remember, I may not know.
Oh, you'll remember. She found money in milk cans in this building that was falling down. That she either inherited the building or she bought it, and she went out to the shed. It was falling down, and she found all this money in these milk cans, old milk cans. Did she ever call you back?
No, she did not. The money belongs to her, though, no question about it.
Oh, absolutely. I just thought it was... I mean, you asked her how much she had found, and she really had no idea.
Got kittenish.
Yeah.
Well, I can understand that, too.
Oh, sure. Well, thanks a lot.
Hey, it's been a pleasure. Knock on dead, kid.
Okay.
Jenks, Oklahoma. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce, from
Hello.
Nobody in the land of the red man.
Yes, indeed. What's on your mind?
I called you a couple of weeks ago. My father passed away in July out in California, and the probate judge was on vacation until today. I'd like to have his job. He was gone from at least the 11th of July until the 31st of August.
Well, that's not too bad.
That's a pretty nice vacation. But we got a call from the attorney today, and he said that we couldn't be appointed executor of the estate because Dad's will wasn't notarized. It was witnessed by 3 people, but it wasn't notarized, and it had no place on it where...
Was the will drawn by an attorney, or do you get one of these do-it-yourself deals?
It was drawn up. Dad was in the Air Force at the time the will was written in 76.
Yeah, and it was written by an attorney?
By the Judge Advocate General.
Well, that's an attorney.
That's an attorney.
And it was written in what state?
California, at Edwards Air Force Base.
And well, then was it written in conformance with the law of that time?
Yes, it was.
So where's the problem?
The judge says that we have to come up with one of these 3 people that witnessed the will to state that it was actually Dad that signed the will. I'm wondering if somebody's blowing smoke at me or not.
Well, perhaps many of these judges are getting very conservative. There's been so much fraud. They also can be ridiculous at times. The fact that it was not notarized, all a notary is this official person to say that this person, that your dad signed it. But be that as it may, do you have any idea how to track these people down?
Well, they evidently this was a common practice at that time, because beside each one of their signatures is a stamp. A stamp that they used that had their name, their social security number, and evidently their permanent mailing address. I'm assuming that they were all military individuals and they had a permanent home address scattered 3 different places across the nation.
And they could have certainly left those subsequent to this time.
It's been 18 years.
Well, why don't you write a letter and see what happens, or fire up a telegram, or pick up the phone and call information and see if somebody's listed.
Okay. Saying that doesn't work. Using their social security number.
That's not going to do you much good.
It's not.
No. Might be easier just to may take some time out. I want to get behind here and I'll ask a couple questions, okay?
Okay.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. I'm talking with a gentleman in Jenks, Oklahoma. His dad had a will done 18 years ago by the Judge Advocate's office. He was military type. And now the judge in California is saying, well, it wasn't appropriately notarized. You got to find one of the people who witnessed it. Is that about the size of it, right?
That's about the size.
All right, now let's talk about your dad or your family. Who's left besides you?
No one.
Well, in that case, why bother? Why not just get appointed administrator? He died under the laws of intestacy. Everything comes to you.
That's what we were trying to do.
And it may be that because you're not a California, you can't be named. It may be they'll have to name your attorney.
Well, I'm flying to California tomorrow morning and planned on making contact with the attorney tomorrow. But
okay.
The will is very simple. The will leaves everything to me.
I understand all that, but it may be just to be a bit pragmatic for a moment. It may be a lot easier if everything as you stated. Take a look at the laws of intestacy. Then you would be the only heir. Why have to fool around probating the will? Well, you'd be appointed administrator. You pay all of his debts, and everything else comes to you.
Intestacy. So, in other words, we just ignore the will entirely.
That's correct.
Okay. There may be a kicker on this thing.
What's that?
He was my stepfather.
Are you his only relative?
No, I'm not his only relative.
Well, then
he has a sister, and
well, you may be out altogether. As a stepchild, you may not be in the loop at all.
Intestacy?
Under the laws of intestacy, they may be first in line.
Yeah.
We're back to the will again. Does the will name you?
Yes.
Well, in that case, you better start trying to locate these people.
Okay. And
do that, or if you can't do that, talk to the attorney. There may be some way to overrule this guy.
Okay. If we don't find them, then what do we do?
Well, what did I just get through saying? You're going to try to find a way to appeal this man's decision to a higher court.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Bruce.
Have a good flight, kid.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
To Lexington, Kentucky. Hello there.
Hi, how are you tonight?
I am just fine, thank you.
Good. I have a problem that I hope you're going to tell me just forget about.
Forget about it. That was that. That was quick. What's happening, baby?
Well, about 4 years ago, we, one of the brokerage houses in which we had an IRA started to send us an IRA that belonged to somebody else.
What do you mean started to send you an IRA?
Well, they started sending us...
statements?
Right.
Statements, you mean?
Right.
Okay.
And when my husband looked at it, he said, this isn't ours, you know, and kept trying to figure out what it was. And then I noticed that the Social Security number was not his.
Well, there's a revelation. Go ahead.
Right. I said, okay, no sweat. This isn't yours. We'll just call our broker and tell him, straighten this out. So we called him, and he said, don't worry about it. I'll straighten it out. And, of course, a few months later, we get another statement. So then we called, I guess it was the office manager of this brokerage house, said, look, you know, straighten this out. Gave him the information that we had on there, you know, the account number, the Social Security number that didn't belong to us, and said, this is not my IRA. Nothing. Again, they said, you know, they'd straighten it out. Again, they did not. So we transferred our funds out of that brokerage house elsewhere, figuring, all right, we'll just close our account.
I hear you. I've done the same thing. Go ahead.
You know, we still got it. So then we called the number that was on the statement at our own expense, because at that time when we first called them, they didn't have an 800 number. Now they do. And again, we were assured, oh, terrible, terrible, we'll take care of it. And a few months later, here comes another statement.
Well, how about this other poor soul? They're not getting this.
Whether he's getting these or not. The first time that I got it.
I only got a couple. Was there an address on there for this person?
Nope. The address for is the same all the way through. There was one time that we got somebody else's name on there. But again, with the same address, a New York address.
All right, let me ask you this. Your money is out, right?
Right.
Sooner or later, the other party's going to get, I hope, a message they're not getting their statements, and they'll start screaming, it doesn't affect you anymore. If you want to be real